Welcome back, friends, to the Heroes of the Storm North American Regionals. I'm Anna Prosser-Robinson. I am so stoked to be sharing this day with you, and we have come so far, and we still have a long ways to go. What an amazing match we just saw between Panda Global and King of Blades Alpha. It was a 2-1 in a direction that nobody expected. King of Blades Alpha with some very awesome surprises for us in those last two games. Now, we're moving into the next match. But first, let's take a look at the schedule. Guys, we have already had lots of Group A action today. We're going to have a little bit more, but then we're going to move into Group B. Now remember, the winner of this next match has some advantages going on, but as you can see, we've got quite a few left here. We've got match 4, 5, and 6 coming up. Team Naventic, Tempo Storm, Cognitive versus Team Blaze, and Complexity versus Team Nom will come right up after that. We have loved seeing your reactions as you've told us who you think might win. We saw some changing attitudes, so you guys are a little bit fickle, which is fine. You can change your mind. That's awesome. But use the hashtag HGC and the hashtag of the team that you want to promote when you're voting so that we can see how you're feeling at the moment. You can also let me know if you have any questions for the players or any reactions you have to the tournament at all. I would also love to hear all of your love, undying support, compliments, and observations about their hair for these two casters. It's Zoya and Gillyweed. Hi guys, how you doing?
We're doing great, Anna. We had a lot of fun casting that last match. It was the first elimination match of the day, and now we're going to see our first match to see who will progress to the semifinals, Zoya.
Yep, we got Naventic going up against Tempo Storm. Might be a shocker to most people, but I'm a pretty big Tempo Storm fan.
Just a little bit?
Just a little bit. I kind of like those guys.
Well, they've got a big hill to climb, in my opinion,
yes.
Because Naventic is just playing out of their minds.
Absolutely.
Their series versus King of Blades Alpha, they looked very strong. And while you talk to the teams and Tempo Storm talked about how they see Naventic as a rival.
Yes, absolutely.
They lost to them, and they were in 3rd place in Heroes Rising. Here's Naventic. Naventic also beat Tempo Storm in the first qualifier, knocked them out of that first qualifier.
The only team to not drop a single map through the qualifier.
So
Cloud9 qualifying from the same event did drop a single map versus Cognitive, I believe. So Naventic showing their dominance here, and I was talking to Zuna earlier today. He said he would be angry if they dropped a single game.
Angry, even.
Mm-hmm. They know what their potential is, and they even did an interview with, I believe, Gosu Gamers, where they even said that if we lose a game, it's because we lost the game.
Wow, those are big words, but they've been looking amazing now. Their opponents will be Tempo Storm, a newer roster from the Tempo Storm we saw of old,
yes.
But still with KO and Soldier, so kind of bridging that new and old together for them. And they would love to be able to qualify out. Whoever wins this has a long time until they have to play again, whereas the loser of this match has to go up against King of Blades Alpha, who did just defeat Panda Global.
Yes, we talked about the rivalry between these two teams. I can tell you that Tempo Storm's #1 scrim partner is Naventic. They play each other a lot. And not only that, Zuna, a former teammate of both KO and Soldier of the Tempo Storm of last year. So these guys not only know each other, but they play against each other a lot. It's very similar to both Panda Global and the King of Blades matchup, where these guys, they play each other so much, they talk so much, that a rivalry has to be born from that.
Absolutely, especially with previous teammates too. But we will be on Shire for the first battleground, so a lot of individual decision making, a lot of individual rotations, yes. And it really hones in on individual skill of players to be on Shire.
That has to be Naventic's pick too. Look at how well they played it versus King of Blades Alpha.
Oh, yeah.
Their rotations, their decision making was almost perfect the entire game. This has to be their map pick. I'd be really surprised if this was what Tempo Storm's grab. But it's a really, really good map for these guys. I mean, all 5 of these players on the end of Naventic have been playing the game since the early days of the Alpha. I've been casting these guys, so have you, for a very, very long time.
Right. We just saw Airho or his evil twin Airgo. It's hard to tell.
They're very similar looking.
Yeah, very, very similar, yeah. And now we see KO, captain of Tempo Storm, not being able to have as smooth of a run so far in this tournament as Naventic has had. Quick, clean 2-0 for Naventic, but it was a more hard-fought victory in that 2-1.
Now we just see that King of Blades Alpha did just beat Panda Global. I think Tomster openly admitted that they probably shouldn't have won any of those games. It was Panda Global's game to lose, but there was a close set. And Tempo Storm had a close set versus Panda Global, whereas Naventic versus King of Blades, that was a stomp. That was a very easy 2-0 for them. So if Tempo Storm plays like they did versus Panda Global, we could be expecting another 2-0 here from Naventic.
So looking at Shire, we're going to be looking at the up-down is very important, the wave clear between that two, trying to drain ammo as much as possible, picks. We could see a lot of heroes drafted to try to get picks as well in that. And of course, you want to make sure you have a good solo laner. So we could see them trying to isolate some of that out, those roles, getting one of those good solo lane heroes.
We'll see what their plans are for the draft. Those solo laners are so important on Shire. You have to be very mindful of them when drafting. Now, Naventic, being a former manager of Zuna, I understand that he loves the Korean scene. He doesn't, take what they do as gospel, but he studies them very thoroughly. And, we saw in those 2 games versus King of Blades Alpha, their love of Sonya and Uther together. That is something that the Korean scene does a lot. And I know that Naventic has been studying them, and Tempo Storm needs to be expecting those 2 pickups together. I mean, Sonya is so good. Uther combined with her is fantastic. So they need to be mindful of that very powerful duo. I mean, they made them look very good in their set versus King of Blades.
It's so funny to hear about Uther starting to come back in to
only in Korea.
In Korea, because of the fact that it seems like we just see these waves of heroes where for a long time they'll be in and then they'll cycle out. Uther for the longest time was the top support pick because of how good Divine Shield was. Yeah,
Uther in the Korean Star League here, what's the Korean qualifier for the World Championship for spring, has a 94% involvement rate when that comes to being in the draft, whether he's banned or picked. He is the highest picked hero or involved hero throughout all of Korea. And you don't see him ever in EU and NA anymore, ever.
Yeah, it's just crazy to see.
Except from these guys.
Maybe starting to bring him back a little bit. The Lightbringer needs to have his return. But speaking of other qualifiers, we have 2 teams qualifying from China. That they were the first ones to qualify. East Star and Edward Gaming. But then I do believe that today, also taking place, is the Australia-New Zealand qualifier.
Oh, cool. I did not know that. So we'll be getting close. We're getting so much closer to that World Championship.
Those 12 teams.
That is going to be very, very fun. And by the end of tomorrow, we'll have 2 more added to that.
We will. The teams representing North America in Seoul, South Korea. Can you imagine what it's like to travel to Seoul?
Can you imagine a World Championship without Naventic right now? Because I can't. These guys,
no way.
Zuna and McIntyre, 2 of the best melee assassins in the game. Zuna has been well known for his Zeratul play for such a long time. McIntyre, when he ended up leaving Complexity, everyone said that was one of the biggest losses as a competitive player. McIntyre, just so good at this game. I mean, really, really well-rounded team. They are a terrifying force.
Yeah, McIntyre is such a true flex too. Like, we see him play all sorts of things. Falstads, Tassadars. Remember his Tassadar play at Heroes Rising?
Yeah.
So on point.
There's Zix support for Tempo Storm there. Really solid player, formerly of Cloud9 Vortex. Once that team disbanded, he left competitive play. And when Tempo Storm picked up Zix, they thought, this is a little bit of a, not what we used to think of. I mean, I remember Dreadnought telling me himself, he used to think Zix was the 3rd best support in North America around that time. And when we picked him up, it was a bit of a slow start. People were like, wow, this isn't the Zix we know. But he's been playing hard, and he's really starting to turn into the player he used to be, a phenomenal support.
Yeah, and Brightwing is also his favorite hero, which makes me, again, very happy. So I'm an Akaface fan and I'm a Zix fan.
Yes.
He really loves Brightwing's uniqueness, her ability to really change the game, change a certain play because of the fact that she can just teleport in immediately and make these saves that other supports might not be able to.
You have to keep in mind, whenever you're talking about any of these teams, if Naventic's being talked about, Fan is considered potentially one of the best players in the world, potentially the best player in North America. He's well known for his Abathur play. He's well known for his positioning and aggression on to range. Shiro's formerly of Cloud9, now playing for Naventic, and within, I think, 2 weeks of him joining Naventic, they won Heroes Rising.
Yeah, you can see the influence that Fan made onto Naventic. The fact that he joined and they instantly were able to win very well, win the Heroes Rising. Dead even.
That is really impressive. Both of these teams, Tempo Storm, one of the fan favorites in the scene throughout 2015. They were considered for a good portion of that the best team in the world. They had their downfall going into the BlizzCon Championship, but you can still see that those fans still stick there, and it's awesome to see all the new fans flocking over to Naventic. Not only are they a new sponsor for the team, but they're still relatively a young team. They have not been playing together that long.
Yeah, the roster, the team started completely right after BlizzCon, and then they've only been playing with each other since they did pick up Fan. Right before Heroes Rising, were able to win that. They did lose initially to Cloud9, but then were able to come all the way back up, and that was a great ending set. Do you remember that? I think it was a 3-2, so
yes.
full 5-game set between the two teams. We haven't actually gotten to see Cloud9 versus Naventic yet since then, because both of them qualified in that first qualifier for regionals here, and the finals weren't played out, so we have yet to see how that's going to go down.
And because of how the groups ended up being, Gilly, there's a chance that Naventic and Cloud9 play each other in the round of 4 if they both make out of the groups, and knocking one of them out of that World Championship. It's a very stressful tournament for all of these teams, because even though, you know, people have been looking at Cloud9 thinking they're a bit shaky, I can tell you from looking at scrims, they are still on point. They are a very terrifying team.
Well, speaking of terrifying, I know a certain Stitches has been seeing a lot more play recently and throughout this tournament. Let's check out a quick spotlight of that hero.
Stitches want share. Stitches want playtime. Stitches play too rough. No one play with Stitches. But Stitches found Nexus. In Nexus, everyone has to play with Stitches. So much playtime makes Stitches hungry.
Stitches being shown there. I can tell you that Sray, the new warrior and shot caller for Tempest Storm, said not only his favorite hero is Stitches, but he's also the team he considers his rival and respects the most is Naventic. So, you know, a little bit of interesting situation between these two teams.
There are a couple of players, I believe, who said that Naventic was Zix as well, a said rival. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense that they would respect Naventic, because they've really grown as a team and in such a short amount of time too.
Soldier has had, there on the very end there, has had one of the most interesting careers as a professional player. Started out as the original flex for Symbiote Gaming, moved to Warrior, and now is back on range carry. I think he is the only player to show that much diversity throughout his Heroes of Storm career. But guys, we have that draft finally going. It's on Shire here. First pick, first ban is going to go over to Tempo Storm, so I was right in thinking that Naventic did pick Shire.
It makes sense, especially like you mentioned before, with how strong they looked versus King of Blades Alpha in the first round. And now Thrall will be the ban for Tempo Storm. It's the nice place, or the nice thing about being in that first pick, first ban is you can kind of have your choice, whereas second ban always has to be considered of whether or not you're going to let that Rhaegar through.
Well, will the Orc Boys be banned out here? And no, it will be Zeratul, so they are targeting Goku. Goku having a very, very solid Zeratul play. Playing the Vorpal Blade style, so they're going to go ahead and deny that. What will be the first pick here for Tempo Storm? I mean, the moment you see Tempo Storm with a first pick and Zagara is not banned, you think of Zagara. That's KO's go-to hero.
Yeah, and besides the fact that we are also on Shire, having her as a strong solo lane hero, while the rest of the team is moving around between mid-bot, they can keep her top and know she's going to have relative safety because of the fact that she can put creep tumors down and have vision should anyone try to come and surprise attack her.
Okay, it's Li Ming. I was maybe expecting something else. We'll see what happens in these mid-tier bans, but it will be Li Ming. Fan in that game number 2 versus versus King of Blades Alpha had a disgusting Li Ming. I think he played Li Ming both games. Was he? No. That was Frozen X who was on it game number 1. So, Fan having a fantastic Li Ming. Tempest Storm with their next 2 picks here. Wouldn't be too surprised at seeing a Muradin this early on. He's a very good support, good at these rotations, but it will be a false stat. Okay. Will be Soldier playing that more than likely? Are they willing to lock in that Lieutenant Morales, as it has not only been banned out versus them twice versus Panda Global, but Kenma, probably the best Lieutenant Morales, I'm going to go ahead and say, in the world.
Wow. high praise there. We'll see if that happens, if they want to pick her up here, if they want to ban her out versus Kenma. But Kenma, in general, is such an amazing support player that I don't really feel like that would hinder him at all.
That's true, but Zix loves some Lieutenant Morale, so it goes both ways for Tempo Storm. We'll see here what this last pick is. They're thinking very, very hard on it, and it will be Joanna. Okay, so we saw this is the 4th game in a row. All 4 games Tempo Storm has played in this tournament, they have played Joanna, which if that's a comfort pick for you, that's actually a pretty good thing because no one's going to ban out Joanna, right? No one's going to try and steal him away. So if this is truly a comfort pick for Srey, you know, they're not going to end up losing it.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, too, in this instance to have Joanna anyway because so many teams rotate between the mid and bot lanes, and the fact that when she uses Knight Takes Pawn, it does stun the minions for a little bit. She can use that to her advantage, stun them out, wait for her minions to come back in, and it makes it more difficult to push minions in and try to drain the ammo of the towers. That is a big part of the game on Dragon Shire in the early game, trying to take out those towers, at least make them so the ammo is out, so the minions are pushing, and you have a harder time rotating to the Dragon Knight or to that bottom shrine.
Well, Naventic going to go ahead and deny that Lieutenant Morales from Zix. We saw this happen twice, as Panic Level did deny it from them multiple times. Next ban coming up for Tempo. They'll probably be looking to deny either a melee assassin or, oh, no, they're going to go ahead and go with Tassadar. I like the Tassadar ban here. There is a chance that Naventic could potentially pick up Illidan here. And if you pair Illidan with both Tassadar and Rhaegar, game's over.
Yeah.
You don't even need to play it out.
You're in a tough
just
spot.
go ahead and, you know, concede right then.
Plus Rising Storm.
Yes.
Once that happens at 16 for Rhaegar. I like, too, that they banned out Thrall and then picked up Zagara, too. They're trying to really make sure that they control that solo lane. And we'll see who Naventic ends up having to
Sonya
put
for sure.
up against that. Yeah, you think it's going to be Sonya right here? All right.
They will lock into Sonya. Even without the Uther, I feel like they have to go Sonya here. They want to put McIntyre or Zuna on a melee assassin here. And with both Thrall and Zeratul banned out, not very many options yet. I doubt Illidan is going to be picked up here for Naventic. It is possible, but I don't think this is the best map for him. So, you know, Naventic going to be thinking real hard on this. They're going to go ahead and get Muradin for Urho. And who will be their next pickup here? They still have room for damages. They could still potentially go double warrior. They could lock in that Sonya. And it is the Sonya.
I like getting it there too because there is the chance that that would be something that maybe Goku would pick up here too, even for a denial if they didn't grab it. So now 2 picks left for Tempo Storm. Support, we'll need something for Zix. With who is left, Rhaegar is already off the table. Team Naventic has picked him up. Still, everything else except Morale is still available too. So will they do that Malfurion again that we saw before, or is that it didn't go so well for them before?
I mean, Malfurion did get a win here, which is probably surprising the most. He's not considered the best warrior or support, but I believe Tomser did admit that they probably should have lost both those games. So we'll see here what the pickup's going to be. I mean, talking to the team between the break, Tempo Storm said, you know what? We're probably not going to pick Malf again. It's going to be double warrior with Leoric. This is actually a lot of sustain. So if they're going for Malfurion here, this actually is one of the few situations where Malfurion is acceptable. He can get run over by Sonya, but with such a sustain-heavy composition, Falstad and Zagar, probably the 2 best sustain damages in the game. If you were to make an argument for Malfurion, I think it would be here. The problem is, though, if you get Malfurion caught by Sonya and Ling Ming, he gets annihilated. But if you were to pick Malf, this would be one of the few compositions I would say it's okay, just because of how sustain heavy it is.
Uther still on the table. Karazim, an option too, although, like we've mentioned before, Karazim seems to be falling off for a lot of the teams, in a lot of places too. We're still Tyrande. How do you feel about a solo Tyrande?
Solo Tyrande, I don't like it with the sustain composition. There's not very much follow-up for the Tyrande stun. There's nothing for, you know, really good like, I mean, they got good single target focus fire, but it's going to be actually Brightwing.
Yay!
Okay, so this is really cool on this map. They have 2 globals where they can contest both bottom and top shrine continuously, as well as sometimes on this map, we see Brightwings go with Bribe. And this is a really good map for that. You can invade Mercs very easily, which I know Naventic loves to do. And if they get their Mercs stolen, you know, that's going to be a very difficult thing to deal with. Naventic with their last pick, what will be that final damage slot? Both Greymane and Lunara are available. Will we see another or something a little bit more melee focused? And it's going to be Greymane. There we go.
All right, so we've got that double melee, although Greymane sits in the back, more of a range. She's like the best of both worlds. You can poke for him with him for a long time, and then when you see lethal, go in, go for the throat, and be able to take them out.
Really, really well done here from both these teams. I really like these two drafts, but if I have to give it to one team, I honestly think that Naventic won this one out. They don't have the best laners. I mean, Sonya can lane, yes, but Zagara and Falstad are both better laners in my opinion. But the aggression coming out from Naventic, I mean, Li Ming, Sonya, Greymane can be so in your face, and that's what Naventic thrives off of.
Yeah, we'll see how they're able to manage. We have a good clear for the mid and bot from Tempo Storm 2 because of the fact that they have Johanna and Leoric. Although, I'm wondering if maybe they'll put... How do you think they'll set up their lanes? You think it'll still be Zagara up top?
It could be Zagara bottom too. You could put Falstad top and have Zagara in the tri-lane bottom. Both end up working. I think probably it's best to have the Zagara top just because you get the extra safety, but both do just fine. It just depends on how they want to play the early game. Do they want to play it more rotation based? Do they want to go for a tri-lane push in bottom? I'll have to see what they want to do.
We'll be into the game very soon. This is a best-of-3 game 1 between Tempo Storm and Naventic, and here we're going to see our rosters. And it will be Goku playing that Leoric, Stray once again on his Johanna.
Soldier going to be playing Falstad, of course. And then on the end of Naventic, I mean, we saw fans Li Ming, and I am so excited to see again. It is very aggressive. Zuna, one of the more aggressive Sonyas in the game. But guys, this is going to be the first match of the day where a team moves into the final bracket. This is how you guarantee yourself top 4 for that prize boost. But guys, we are loading into game number 1, Naventic versus Tempo Storm.
This is it. The winner of this game gets to advance to the semifinals and is only one step away from moving on into Korea.
Well, here on the left-hand side of the map in the blue trunks, it's going to be Naventic. It's going to be McIntyre on Greymane, Urho playing Murden, Zuna on Sonya, Fan playing Li Ming, and rounding out the team, it's going to be Kenma playing Rhaegar.
And in the red, we have Tempo Storm with KO playing Zagara. No surprise there. Zix on Brightwing, Goku playing Leoric, Stray on Johanna, and finally, it will be Soldier playing Falstad.
All right, taking a look at level 1 talents. I don't see anything too out of the ordinary, Gilly.
No, it's been a lot of power hungries for our Li Mings thus far, and when they're going for that rotation, it makes sense. They're going to be looking... she's actually pretty good at sieging with her abilities, and you already see her starting to throw it down, just chunking away at the tower wherever possible, and... halfway down already.
Yeah, Li Ming is ridiculous when it comes to these early sieges here. Zuna going in for a big spin. Condemn going to displace him a bit. That's a very far extended Leoric, though. Goku has to Wraith Walk out of there and just showing you how much early game damage this composition has. We already see KO has rotated to that top lane up there. Going to be shoving that in. Looks like it'll be Greymane laning against him. Sonya's going to be in the rotations here. And this is a pretty scary early game here for Tempo Storm, as they have almost no aggression as a team comp. They just have to let Naventic control the rotations from mid to bottom and just hope that Zagara can win top lane and that they're able to, you know, sustain enough to eventually get a lead.
I really like the decision to keep Sonya with the team because she can really jump on top of anybody if they're able to get a stun. But for now, she's going to whirlwind in. And yeah, this is the problem. Like when you have Leoric, you want to be tanking a lot of those abilities up in front while the rest of your team is dealing damage. But until you get Hardened Bones at 4 and you have that damage reduction, it can be really scary to do that.
You can already tell from these two small skirmishes that how much more powerful Naventic's composition is in the early game. Well, as Kenma does take a little bit of damage, he is going to get away. But those rotations are going to ensure that Naventic will almost always control bottom shrine. And if KO can't win top, this is going to be a real tough game for Tempo Storm to win.
All right, Stray trying to get away, has to use Iron Skin, and they're still trying to body block him as much as possible. Can they catch up? There goes the Dwarf Toss, and Stray still able to get away. No first blood just yet.
Both shrines controlled by Tempo Storm for a brief moment here, but the Greymane will cap top. Rotation from Zuna and Fan coming on this bottom shrine. I don't know if Soldier and Goku can contest this for now, but we're getting closer to level 4, Gilly.
We are. We'll see what talents they grab for that. KO once again going to grab top. Both just going back and forth on the shrines, making sure they're at least holding one so they don't start to feel threatened up into the mid. Kenma takes some damage from the Drain Hope. That's going to be nice. Trying to push him back. Maybe make him go back so they can make a power play happen.
Well, so far KO's doing a good job of controlling top. I mean, this is what this early game is going to be decided on. Can McIntyre outlane KO, or can KO get ganked by the Naventic composition? And I actually like this decision to get a little bit more siege damage here, but still Tempo Storm keeping a good job, doing a good job of keeping even on the experience.
The creep has been spread out to make sure that should Naventic start to rotate up here, Zagara will be able to hopefully get back in time. That's got to be it's got to be constant watching because of the fact that those rotations can come in from Naventic.
Brightwing did end up teleporting down. They were looking for a kill on Kenma, but he did end up getting away just barely. So nice disengage from Tempo Storm, as well as good heads-up play from Naventic. Both teams playing this very safe despite the aggression. It's safe aggression. They're not getting too greedy. The amount of damage that towers can do to you now is very terrifying to deal with. And Kenma actually getting very low. Soldier doing a lot of damage with that hammering, but Zuna going to force straight off the point here. Just trying to reposition himself. Zuna actually doing a lot of damage here to Goku. The Condemn comes out, but not enough follow-up for them to get this kill. There's no burst on the end of Tempo Storm. It is all sustained damage, so they're not going to be able to secure kills in the early game unless it's through a long fight, which by the time a long fight's going to happen, you're going to go back to base, tap well, so on.
We saw Brightwing with a great, very long-range Arcane Flare, because we didn't once again have Arcane Barrage picked up, increasing the range. Zuna in trouble, but Kenwa is going to rotate in, and now Goku does Wraith Walk away, but has taken a bunch of damage. May have to go back there.
Good teleport top from Zix to KO. They were going to potentially lose a Dragonite there, but forcing that 2 versus 1 versus the Greymane forced him to back off the Shrine. Tempo Storm was able to cap that, and now we're still on an even game. Level 7 just about to be hit here for Naventic, and Tempo Storm just slightly behind. Taking a look at the structure damage, Gilly, I mean, I would have to say that Naventic's doing a good job. I mean, showing you the power of that Li Ming has in the early Siege game.
Yeah, they've been doing a really good job of keeping up their rotations as much as possible. There, once again, the Magic Missiles and Arcane Orb are going to go out with the Siege, and having that power hungry means that every time she picks up a mana or a regen globe, it gives her 100% more mana. So she's just being able to keep this constant Siege up, and with that, takes down a tower. Both towers are gone here, and that's going to make it harder for Tempo Storm to try to rotate in and take back this bottom shrine.
Well, nice push here in the top lane from KO and Zix. They do almost get that entire front wall down. At the reverse, though, Naventic has taken down this front wall, doing a really good job of it. Goku taking a lot of damage here in the bottom lane. He does end up having the Wraith walk back. Stray coming in from the flank, though, not looking to do too much other than just help clear up this Merc camp. Actually, Urho taking a lot of damage, already half HP, but again, sustain, sustain, sustain. It's so hard for at least Tempo Storm to secure an actual kill right now.
Yeah, they're just going to have to wait it out until they can get some of those heroic abilities too. That'll help a ton. Once they have Mighty Gust, they can isolate people away for a long time and hopefully allow them to pick up a takedown that way. They also will have Devouring Maw, Blessed Shield to try to catch somebody and make sure that nobody can get away from them too. So they just have to just wait it out a bit until they can get to that point.
Well, level 9 almost here for Naventic here. Fan taking a lot of damage. Soldier did end up missing the hammering, so not going to be able to get him much lower than that. But good job so far of Goku zoning up bottom. KO rotating top. It is Zuna and McIntyre up here, so KO has to be careful, even though Zix, he's in range. He doesn't have Blink Kill just yet. Looks like KO's going to be forced off this point. Not going to be able to cap it. Oh, no, they are going to force McIntyre back, as Soldier did end up rotating up. So that's both shrines currently controlled by Tempo, but I don't think Joanna's going to be able to cap this.
Yeah, now, meanwhile, Goku takes a bunch of damage. Magic Missile still... Okay.
Oh, the wizard. That wizard got that last shot. Minion kill.
MVP wizard.
MVP wizard indeed. That's going to be first blood going over to Naventic, and they're getting very close to level 10 here. This is where Naventic is at their best, when they have these small windows of opportunity. They have a half level where Tempo Storm won't have heroics. Let's see if they can get a Dragonite.
This top lane is so far pushed, but they do see that there's some people off the battleground. Rhaegar and Sonya now leaving too, but it looks like they are trying to go for the bruisers, try to help push back that top lane as much as possible, and maybe that way they can pick up that first Dragon Knight.
Level 10 so close here for Tempo Storm. Heroics on the end of Naventic looking pretty standard so far. What will we see on the end of Tempo Storm? It will be Entomb, Mighty Gust, Blink Kill, Bless Shield, and should be Devouring Maw, and there it is.
Wrath of the Berserker, so no OAs today, at least in this game. Ancestral Healing, Disintegrate, Go for the Throat, and Avatar will be the choices for Naventic.
Zuna going for the point here, but Soldiers here, Ziggs teleporting in, and this is actually a big collapse on the Zuna. The Entomb catches 2 members, and Zuna definitely going down. Can Urho get away? He gets the Dwarf Toss back. They're rotating up. Can they chase him down? Nice barrel roll from Soldier. The Q from Brightwing might not be enough to help secure this. Kenma is here to heal up. Avatar has been popped. Tempo Storm having both points, but no, Greymane did end up catching top, so they did get themselves their first kill of the game, but can they get a Dragonite with KO being pushed in by these bruisers? I don't think they can.
Yeah, it's going to be only a few more seconds until Naventic has Sonya back, and in that matter of time, they're sending False Side up, they're trying to pick this up, but still there's so many people watching this. Goku has to Wraith Walk away once again, or I guess this time getting away a little bit low, but still healthy enough to stay in for a bit.
Bruiser's really helping out there. It prevented KO from being aggressive in the top lane, as well as Fan rotating up on the Li Ming. Soldier immediately flies mid, potentially looking for a gank here, but at the same time in the bottom lane, Stray getting caught, Brightwing teleporting to him. This might be very scary for Zix. There's the Disintegrate being used. Nice blink kill from Zix to reposition himself. Polymorph goes down onto Zuna as Wrath has been popped. They're doing as much damage as possible. And Tomb is actually zoning out Zuna. Now he's underneath the fort. He's very overextended. Kenma can't get in range. Will the Ancestral connect? No, he didn't even try to use it there. And that's going to be the death of Fan as well. 2-kill advantage so far for Tempo Storm. And they're going to try and get themselves a Dragonite. They still control the top shrine. We see that McIntyre is rotating top as fast as he can, but I don't think it's going to be fast enough. It's going to be the first Dragonite of the game going over the Tempo Storm, and Goku's going to be the one in it.
That's what I'm talking about. Once Tempo Storm get their heroic abilities, they don't have a lot of burst, but they have so much ability to zone. They have Mighty Gust. They had a great Devouring Maw to pull out Li Ming too, and then that amount of time got one takedown, and then the second collapsing onto that Devouring Maw after it was complete. And because of that now, they've picked up the first Dragonite. They're going to start pushing down some of the structures into Naventic, looking to get as many towers as possible. If they can get some takedowns, maybe onto a fort, but for now, just trying to get pushed wherever possible in the lanes.
Oh, the gank.
But yeah, they might be in trouble, but Mighty Gust will be able to save him.
Yeah, Ziggs coming in as well probably would have kept them alive. Goku getting that front wall down mid lane, top lane. KO has been sitting up on that island for a very long time, but he has done some good siege damage. And actually, it looks like Naventic is trying to collapse onto Goku, and he's not getting the best value out of this Dragonite. Yes, Tempo Storm has a half-level lead, but structure-wise, I mean, he didn't get too much whiff this year, doing a little bit more damage with the time he has. Soldier flying up, Joanna rotating in, and this is the power of Brightwing on this map. Look at him soaking bottom lane, just increasing the lead here for Tempo Storm, and can just teleport in. But the collapse is actually coming on the Ziggs in the bottom there. They're diving on him under the fort, but they do not end up committing to it.
And they will start to move away. They've done a good job of kind of pulling Naventic out into different lanes, making them separate as much as possible, but still have yet to actually lose anybody. Fan gets hit by a Drain Hope, but the rest of the team is there. Disintegrate will come out. Goku's going to Wraith Walk away, make sure that he takes a little bit less damage from that thanks to Hardened Bones.
Very short cooldown as well, 20 seconds on the Disintegrate, so you can kind of use it freely. Sometimes you see Li Ming's even using it to cap all, or get all 5 coins from a chest in Blackheart's Bay. You know, just burn that down as fast as possible. Clear waves.
Yeah.
Very, very short cooldown here. Tempo Storm still with that half-level lead, but here comes the aggression we talked about from Naventic. They're going for an invade here. Goku's going to scout it out, but the rest of Tempo Storm's not here. I don't know if Tempo Storm can contest this. Stray does get on the point at the last. Oh no, it does end up getting captured, but they're looking to fight this. KO is with them. Falstad flies in, and Tomb goes down on the Zuna, and this is a really great gust there, but nice use of the pull over the wall from Ancient Spear from Zuna to get out of there. Goku taking a lot of damage, and Goku's going to be the first to fall in this fight. Brightwing using phase shift on the Stray. He's kiting back as well as he can, but they're looking out for blood here. McIntyre's going straight on the Stray, and do they get the kill? He gets the shield at the last second from Iron Skin, and he's just barely going to get out of there. But Fan trying to reposition himself. Urho with the Dwarf Toss gets the stun on the Ziggs, and Ziggs is going to fall as well. They do not end up getting Stray or Soldier, but a 2-for-0 exchange, and the fort's going to go down. First fort of the game going to Naventic.
That was so important that Sonya was able to stay alive. Tempo Storm dedicated a lot to trying to get a takedown there, and the fact that Sonya had Mystical Spear was able to go right over, it's a very good thing to get always, but especially versus Entomb for Leoric. It's absolutely necessary.
The Ancient Spear was perfect there. That is what won Naventic that fight.
Yeah.
The Gust was perfectly aimed to isolate Rhaegar from the Sonya, but the moment that happened, we saw him out there. Nice Entomb over the wall, but it was on Murden, so he's able to Dwarf Toss out of there. Here, still a slight lead for Naventic as Tempo Storm just about to hit 15.
Both
Oh,
teams.
the Bruiser's top.
Yeah, both teams neck and neck in experience, but this has been pushing for a long time while Naventic have been into the bottom. It's a pretty close game, Zoya.
Yes.
I mean, structurally wise, both teams have about a fort down, as that top fort very low for Naventic. Tempo Storm has only lost 1 thus far. Experience very close. Kills dead even.
Yeah, this is, you know, like I said, these guys are scrim partners. They scrim each other more than any other team. That goes both ways. So, you know, these guys know each other very well, you know, and they've been proving a lot together. So, you know, it's really cool to see how close this game is. I mean, like you said, it is dead even experience, kills, and almost structures. So that top fort is a sliver of HP for falling for Naventic.
Goku split pushing with these bruisers, trying to get the lanes pushed as much as possible as we have another Shrine phase happening. Brightwing picking up top, but there are still several members of Naventic to stop Leoric from picking this up into the mid.
Naventic's actually pretty split right now, but so is Tempo Storm as Goku and Sonya isolating themselves in the bottom. The rest of Tempo Storm is in the top. And this is actually a pretty big collapse coming down onto Goku here. I think he's going to go down, Gilly.
Here comes the Disintegrate. He Wraith walks away and will be able to get away for now, but McIntyre Harry jumps in and will eliminate Leoric.
Resets, Gilly. That's what just happened, as I did get that double reset. Li Ming and Greymane both having the ability to reset their heroics.
Oh, okay, a big push coming in from Naventic as both teams have level 16. How will Tempo Storm choose to respond here? It looks like Naventic not feeling confident about this, going to move back. They have to remember that there is always Leoric keeping an eye on them,
Urho's
too.
in trouble. His Dwarf Toss is down. Polymorph has been used. KO coming up from the flank. Does he have Dwarf Toss up yet? No, it's still down. Avatar pop very early. The rest of Naventic is rotating up, and Tempo Storm has to back out here. They don't have enough burst to kill off a Murden, and Naventic with a very smart rotation. But look at Goku in the bottom. He did res, and he was able to prevent another cap from Naventic there, and it's 16 versus 16. I mean, Gilly, this game is so evenly matched.
Iron Skin is going to be used. Can they take out Srey, who is trying to... They're rotating back into McIntyre just gets wrecked, especially by the Lunar Flare too. And Tomb goes down onto 2 members, but Zuna deals a bunch of damage to Goku, and he's going to get taken out. So a 1 for 1, but 1 for 2 as Johanna gets taken out, and this is exactly what Li Ming wants. She has the resets and throws out a bunch more damage onto the members of Tempo, but they're going to start to back off. They're very happy with those 2 takedowns on the Warriors of Tempo.
A little bit too greedy there from Naventic, diving under the fort. It's very tempting when you have those maximum resets coming out on Li Ming and Greymane to try and snowball the lead even further, but this should be the first Dragonite for Naventic. This game's 2nd Dragonite total, and yeah, Soldier goes for the interrupt at the last second. They're trying to cap it top. Does he have Gust up? I don't think he does. Can they interrupt it? And they do deny it. Brightwing ends up getting it, but they get the collapse on the Goku. They're chasing as well as Zagara. They get the stuns. There's the Disintegrate, and KO's gonna fall. Very bad positioning from him.
So this is a really annoying composition for Naventic to have to deal with versus Tempo Storm, because there's always Brightwing split pushing and who can grab his spine.
Globals.
Yeah, the double globals. There's Falstad as well, and then even there's the Leoric, who will spawn exactly where his Undying form is once he comes back up. So it's hard for Naventic to actually pick up a Dragonite, but at the same time, they're still finding the picks they need to constantly keep Tempo Storm down a person, and there we go. They will be able to grab their first Dragonite of the game.
Yep, nice job there from Naventic. Now, when you kill Leoric, that's when it's questionable whether you can get one of these things, but that was Zagara that died. He doesn't have the ability to reduce his death timer. Still not up for 10 seconds there, and it looks like Naventic with this is wanting to push in a keep, Gilly. That front wall's already expelled from that push they did before, so this could be the first keep of the game at 15 minutes going to Naventic.
All right, they're going to start working on throwing out the Flame Breath whenever possible. Just poking this down where they can and waiting for the rest of the team to get in until they can do this. Both teams on even talent tiers, so they still have to be careful of getting caught out. Dragonite getting burned down pretty quickly.
Yes.
It looks like Tempo Storm's going to be able to hold this.
Yep, really good hold from Tempo Storm. I mean, McIntyre's almost lost all the HP on that Dragonite. It still has 30 seconds left on it, but I don't know how much more he can do with it. And again, take a look at the structures on the map, Gilly. Only 1 fort still has fallen for both teams.
Yeah, McIntyre is going to rotate in and try to get this 2nd fort from mid, but waiting for everyone to come in, maybe anchoring in the mid bushes to see if someone rotates around that way that they can catch out, but they're not going to find anybody there from Tempo Storm. But still, with this, Naventic have started to pull ahead in experience.
Yes, this is a very significant lead, about a full level lead right now from Naventic, and they should have 20 by the time the next Dragonite spawns. I do not think they have enough time, or I do not think Tempo Storm has enough time to get 20. Maybe because they have Brightwing and Falstad, but the problem right now is that top lane, because of that Bruiser camp they pushed in, did exactly what Naventic wanted. It didn't get the front wall top, but it shoved in the lane so hard that Ziggs cannot safely soak top lane.
Yep, and now we are going to see if Naventic can get their Storm Talons and make something happen
Ziggs.
with that.
He's being collapsed upon here, gets the blink kill to juke. The Stormbolt was missed. He blink heals back. Can he survive here? He's kiting back as well as he can. Leoric is rotating up. Disintegrate has been used, and that's a very dead Brightwing.
Yeah, and with that, that's down for 53 seconds, so that's going to be tough. Thankfully, though, they did at least pick up 2 camps that are going to push hard into that bottom lane, so that's at least something that Naventic will have to respond to, and they're going to do so now. But with that takedown, Naventic have picked up Storm Talent, so now it's very important that Tempo Storm can get caught back up with those and get them as soon as possible.
I love this push bottom lane. This forces the members of Tempo Storm to react to Naventic and stop soaking lanes. This stalls out for the Dragonite at the cap and potentially allows them to get a keep here. And wow, Fan immediately chunking straight down to half HP. The burst from Li Ming is impressive, and I don't see this keep standing, Gilly. Yep, there it does go down. Wow, Li Ming does so much damage.
And now with Temporal Flux, it's a 60% slow on Disintegrate too.
Wow, Greymane and Li Ming. 123,000 siege damage on Greymane, 109,000 siege damage on Li Ming.
That's that poke, man. It's excessive, and especially when she has Power Hungry and can keep that mana up. She doesn't have to go back. She can continually just throw out all of her abilities constantly on structures.
Well, level 20 finally almost here for Tempo Storm. They have about a half level to go, but the shrines are spawning in 10 seconds. And wow, Sray very isolated from the rest of his team. Is the rest of Naventic rotating up? No, it's only Sonya up there for now, but they might get that collapse out into Falstad there. He was stunned by the Stormbolt. McIntyre going for a lot of bursts. Mighty Gust has been used, but Soldier gets immediately soloed by McIntyre, and he does go for the chase on the Cigar. No, he does end up backing out. Now top shrine being capped by McIntyre. Zix being forced to back off here. Li Ming zoning out Goku in the mid. They're trying to get themselves a Dragonite Gillet. Can they do it?
This is such a bad place for Tempo Storm to be in because they lost someone right as they hit level 20. The zoning is perfect.
Boom.
McIntyre gets the Dragonite. They already have a keep down, Zoya.
Yes, this could potentially be core. It's 18 minutes into the game. I think that's a little bit too greedy with 30 seconds on Falstad. They might be able to make it work, and that's what they're doing, Gilly. They're rotating down. They're looking for the end here. Tempo Storm needs to force this fight now, but they have no damage without Falstad. It's only Zagara alive. I think this might be it. They're going for the core right now. They're pushing straight in. 20 seconds on Falstad. They're spreading out as well as they can, and I don't think it matters, Gilly. I think this is it. Naventic potentially about to win the game.
Devouring Maw catches no one to stop this slow with the Dragonite hammering down the core, and you have called it. Naventic are going to take game number 1 versus Tempo Storm.
Just perfect decision-making late game from Naventic. Really, really well done. I mean, the shouts from Naventic, they know how well they won that game. They played it perfectly. It looked pretty even throughout most of the game, but Naventic just played to the map perfectly.
They did. They did a great job. They won. They did such a good job of catching just one person here or there. Even if it was a Leoric, it was still time when Tempo Storm were down one person, and it was really pivotal when they were able to catch that Zagara in the mid, because from there they constantly had Tempo Storm just down one person, which meant they couldn't get the rotations in they needed to try to keep the shrines away from Naventic, and that also slowly helped them get their Storm talents quicker than their opponents.
Well, I've been following these players for a very long time, specifically KO and Soldier, as through most of 2015 I was their manager, as well as been casting them since Symbiote Gaming days. And I have to be honest, this has been one of KO's weakest tournament performances to date. Multiple Maws missed throughout multiple sets, positioning, just overextending and getting punished for it. KO really needs to figure out what's going on. Is it nerves? Is it just, not in the right mindset or something? Because he has just, you talked about the missed Maw here at the end. We saw them versus Panda Global, and then that pick in mid lane where he overextended. He as the captain of the team, the team looks to him for guidance, and he needs to, get into the zone and really focus.
It can be so hard, though, to do that when you're up against people that are just such commanding players, right? To get over that mindset of I don't know how we're going to do this. Can be very difficult for them, too, and trying to come in and play your best game with that. And there we have Fan. His Li Ming play has been on point.
Hero damage, he did 67,000. Second highest was Falstad, played by Soldier, 38,000.
Doubled.
Almost doubled his damage.
That is insane.
Don't give Fan Li Ming people.
Yeah.
That is a terrifying man on a terrifying hero.
Speaking of Li Ming, I've really enjoyed how she has come out, because she came out and she was very strong.
Yeah.
SF Johan, so strong. And I love that in these qualifiers, she wasn't allowed in the qualifiers, so that there was time to kind of adjust her how she needed to be and adjust how to play against her versus how to play her, because she is, supposed to be known for this high-skilled hero. And so I like that it's just now for NA, this has really been the big tournament where we're finally starting to see how teams are adapting Li Ming into their team compositions.
Yeah. We'll have to see if more teams start picking this up. I mean, Fan is definitely making a very good case for this hero, and it's going to be cool. Tomb of the Spider Queen will be the map for game number 2. That will be the map picked by Tempo Storm. We know that they have a lot of interesting strategies on this map, that being one of their favorites as well. So no surprise to see that for Tempo Storm. Naventic going to have that first pick here.
Tempo Storm picked Tomb of the Spider Queen versus Panda Global as well.
Yeah.
So it is a place where they will feel a lot more confident going in. A very small battleground, the lanes really close together. Similar to Shire a bit, in that the lanes still pretty close together, especially that mid bot, but even more so for Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Yeah, it's really good rotations, really good map, and there we go. The tide has swung here. Naventic showing how fierce they are. I mean, if anyone did bracket predictions, I don't think anyone would have put Naventic not making it to finals.
Right. And that if they can win this game right here, they're going to be going to the semifinals, which means they don't play until later in the day tomorrow. So they have a long time where they can just rest, study other teams' strategies as they're playing here. And the loser of this match, you know, has to go. They have a much longer route. They have to go up against King of Blades Alpha.
Well, Tempo Storm, they'll have to do something different here. I mean, this is, like you said, is their map. They're going to have to rethink their strategy. You know, I do want to emphasize that the game looked very close throughout most of the game, but that just shows you how the map is played, and Naventic almost played it perfectly. They never got too aggressive. They never, you know, because all it takes is one death, one mistake, and you give your team a Dragon Knight. And that's all that really happened. There was a few deaths. I think the kills were the final count was 7-4. Only 7 kills there, but when you get one pick and you secure yourself a Dragon Knight, even at 18 minutes in the game, look what they were able to do with it. It was only a 30-something second window where Soldier was dead, but they were able to get that Dragon Knight and push the core and win.
Yeah, it takes so much coordination from your team to be able to actually get the Dragon Knight. You have to maintain both of the shrines all the way in the top, all the way in the bottom, while simultaneously zoning people away from the mid so that you could actually get a channel and pick up the Dragon Knight. It takes a lot of coordination, and there's a lot of individual rotations too, which is why we say that it is a very individually skilled based map.
Well, we'll see how these teams are going to end up playing. Tomb of the Spider Queen, like you said, rotation's very, very important. We'll see how each team wants to draft it. Naventic, I think they have a 100, in the 3 games they've played, they have a 100% pick rate on Sonya.
Yes, that is correct.
And Zuna looks terrifying on him, not just aggressively, but terrifying. So, you know, no surprise there, really. Sonya is still such a great warrior. But here we go, guys. Draft for game number 2 is underway. Get excited as Naventic here on the verge of making it out of the groups, being the first team here from the North American Regionals to make it to the round of 4.
Now, Tempo Storm, I mean, Zagara is such a really fantastic hero for this battleground, being able to spread creep between both of the turn-in points, and she's so good at denying it. I wondered if maybe it was going to be the ban, but it looks like Naventic still wants to keep Goku off of that Zeratul. It makes sense. Teams used to ban Zeratul versus Goku when he was on Luminosity. He's known for that Zeratul play.
Yeah, you know, he's very well known. And it's going to be banned yet again. I mean, you know, just showing the respect there to Goku and how well he plays that hero. Tempo Storm with the next ban. They let Rhaegar through last game to ban out, I believe, Thrall. We'll have to see if that's going to be the case again here. Smiles on Trey and Zix's face. They don't seem too shaken up from it, but
oh, the respect.
They are fan no more. Fan, you are way too good at this hero, man.
Okay, now does this mean a Rhaegar first pick for Team Naventic?
They did that last game that Rhaegar was available, but there's also the potential of denying the Zagara, and they do that. We saw that happen. Game number 1 versus King of Blades Alpha. They ended up first picking the Zagara when it was let through, and they put McIntyre on it. Let's see if that's going to be another game where McIntyre plays the Zagara.
She's so strong.
She's so good.
Her solo lane capabilities, her ability to deny turn-ins, the creep-giving vision. There are a lot of vents and nooks and crannies on Tomb of the Spider Queen, so being able to have creep through there is really great. But what will Tempo pick now? Now that KO can't be on Zagara, what do you think that we'll see him on?
You know, he still has the Jaina that we saw him play earlier versus Panda Global. You know, he has been learning Lunara. So we'll see which one of those heroes. Now, the Thrall will be played here by Goku.
Yeah, I love the pickup here of him because of they see a solo lane hero.
That is true, but we did see Goku's Thrall versus Panda Global, and he had a lot of deaths in the early game, just kind of miscalculating how aggressive he should be, how his positioning, and a few of his Thunderings were a little bit off, so we'll have to see if he plays a bit. And it's going to be Orc Boys. Rhaegar picked up here for Zix. The mean green team themselves.
That'll be great once they can get Rising Storm, throw the Lightning Shield on him, allow him to just hang out in near the squishies of Team Naventic. 2 more heroes from Naventic before the next bans. Could be a warrior that we see. I love Erho's ETC. It's always very on point.
Erho there at the end. Handsome as ever. Almost as handsome as Ergo, his evil twin.
So they're going to get Jaina here. They've picked up a burst hero. And that's a great pickup there, knowing that Tempo Storm had banned out Li Ming too.
There's the Sonya. That is 4 for 4 games. They are the only team in North America and probably all of Europe that run Sonya this often. Again, super high pick rate, I believe, at 82% in involvement rate in the Korean Star League. And like I said, Zuna loves the Korean scene. You know, he doesn't take it like as, you know, as a gospel. He doesn't write it down and look at it and like, this is what you need to play. But he takes notes, and, you know, he's seen the power of Sonya, and they're not going to give it up ever. They're okay with losing Thrall Rhaegar because look at this composition. They have so much damage, so much sustain, so much survivability between these three heroes. Great heroics. I mean, Zagara, Jaina, Sonya is terrifying in the hands of Naventic.
Looks like Tippo are going to ban Morales.
I like that. Smart.
Yeah, they already have a support of their own, so trying to limit the pool that
Maybe
Naventic can
Uther would
have
have been a better ban.
Yeah, I was wondering if maybe they were going to do the Uther.
It's more targeted at Kenma specifically. Like I said, Kenma's Morales is terrifyingly good. Where Uther a little bit lower on the skill cap end. Definitely not easy to play, but Morales is probably the harder of the two supports. So putting him on Uther.
All right, Lunardo will be the ban from Team Naventic. So not wanting to deal with that poke that is, it can be very tough to have to contend with.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah!
I know we've been getting tweets all day. There it is. It's going to be Cho'Gall. You know who the Cho'Gall player is for Tempo Storm? It's KO and Soldier. Funny enough. Usually it's the Warrior main and the Flex, but this time it's they usually run it as KO and Soldier. We'll see what they're going to do. Lots of smiles on their faces. Sray does not seem happy with that Cho'Gall face. You just saw him facepalm. I know he's not happy about this Cho'Gall pick. He's like, guys, what are we doing? But Cho'Gall works on these smaller maps. Will it work on To the Spider Queen? I'm not too big of a fan of it, but
Think about his sieging though. His sieging is awesome. He has unlimited. He doesn't have to rely on a mana pool in order to deny and delay a turn-in for a long period of time.
Leoric, double warrior with Leoric Sonya. That is different. That is not something you see very often, but I like it. Leoric is probably one of the best warriors in the game. If not, actually, he is the best warrior in the game versus the Cho'Gall. These two last picks.
You gotta get
Leoric Sonya makes sense in no situation unless versus a Cho'Gall. Like we talked about before, the Drained Soul is percentage based. Cho'Gall having a very, very incredibly high health pool, as well as the Karazim 7-sided strikes. Just does percentage based damage. I believe 7% per strike. So versus Cho'Gall, these are two really good picks. It's an unconventional composition. You don't normally like the double warrior with Leoric Sonya, and you don't normally like the solo support Karazim, but in this situation, it makes sense.
Yeah, when you're that second pick team, you have to pick Cho'Gall in a double pick where you have two. So they had Cho'Gall, but there were still 2 picks left for Naventic to be able to contend with it, to deal with it. And so the fact that they were still able to pick up Leoric and Karazim is going to be really good that they have that. Vala will be the final choice for Tempo Storm.
Okay, maybe it won't be KO and Soldier.
You think it'll be Stray?
I mean, Stray could play Vala. Who's
that is
going
to be
it is KO, so it will be KO on Vala. Okay, so they are changing it up a little bit.
A solo warrior as
Solo warrior Cho'Gall. Okay, Tempo Storm. We'll see. I don't have much confidence. I really like this draft from Naventic. It is, the first 3 picks are fantastic, and then the reactionary picks from Leoric, Karazim are really good. We'll have to see if Tempo Storm has something up their sleeves with the play style from this composition to make it work versus this. But if they don't have anything cheeky strategically, Naventic won this draft hard. Yeah,
I'm excited to see how the Cho'Galls will build their talents too. There have been a lot of variety in talents through different regions, just from different teams as well, even in NA. There's a lot of different talents that you can pick from them and what you want to try to go for. Even with Cho, you know, you can go into more of the Surging Fist build if you want a lot of mobility. Want to make sure that you can get away from any crowd control. But then there's also the Consuming Blaze, Fire Eater even too, where you're just continually trying to keep that self-heal and be the tanky front line.
Well, here are our comps, guys. It will be Spray and Soldier on that Cho'Gall. Taking a look at the end of Naventic. Fan going to be playing Jaina. Zuna forever on Sonya. And then it's going to be McIntyre, like that Blackheart's Bay game, on Zagara. But guys, we're going into game number 2 right now. Tomb of the Spider Queen. And this is match point for Team Naventic. If they win this game, they are the first team into the round of 4, Gillyweed.
Well, here we go into the game. We're going to see if Tempo Storm can bring it back and go to game number 3 between Naventic, or 2 against Naventic.
Well, here we go, guys, on the left-hand side of the map. Fan favorites here in North America. It's going to be Team Naventic. Fan playing Jaina, Zuna playing Sonya, McIntyre on Zagara, Kenma playing Karazim, and rounding out the team, it's going to be Urho playing Leoric.
And in the red, we have Tempo Storm with KO playing Vala. It will be, oh, that's TS. It'll be Shrey on Cho, Soldier playing Gall, Zix on Rhaegar, and finally Thrall will be played by Goku.
I forgot how the team names at the start would affect the the name for Cho'Gall here. So it's TTS Deer playing the Cho'Gall this game here, and they're immediately going for some easy siege here on this mid camp. We have a 4-man push here, and this is the power of heroes like Zagara. And you know, when we see the new hero Zul that summons minions, you're allowed to spawn those in front of these towers and get an easy fort very, very quickly. But the collapse is happening. Here comes TS Deer going in, but not going to overcommit for this, and they're going to end up rotating up.
Arrow's going to go back. They have to be careful versus all of that damage from Cho'Gall, as he's already going to start sieging. We saw him starting to hit some of the towers. The faster they can get those down, the quicker, the more ahead in experience they'll get. Also, he's really great at being able to siege down wells, and if you take those down, you take out your opponent's ability to reinitiate as effectively.
Block picked up on Sonya here, going for a bit of more defensive style. Knows that you know, all they have to do is outlive the Cho and the Gall. So good pickup there from Zuna here, and a collapse coming down on mid on this, the Cho'Gall here. Can they get the kill? Can do a lot of damage so far, but don't think they're gonna get any kills this early.
Yeah, that is a big health bar, so it's gonna be hard. But I have Kilrog will be the choice for Gall. That's gonna help out a lot with their vision. Vision is oh so important on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Airho has to back out of this fight, getting pretty low, and has to, of course, watch out because there's just constant siege, constant damage and pressure coming out from Cho'Gall.
Yeah, we'll see how this goes into the early game. Now, you have to keep in mind that Cho'Gall is 2 players controlling 1 physical character in game. Cho being the one that controls the body, where Gall being the one casting these purple spells we see on. Actually, Thrall going to go down here in the bottom lane there. McIntyre and Fan securing a very easy kill onto Goku. First
blood going over to Team Naventic. And they're going to start pushing the lanes as much as possible too, trying to make sure that they're not ever in a place where TSS Deer can come in and start taking out some of those structures. It'll be key, and trying to get ahead in experience so they can start to get turn-ins. If they can get a good turn-in where they've got an experience lead with that, deal some damage to structures, then they can spread out the creep in between the 2 turn-in points, and then deny potentially a turn-in from Tempo Storm until they have their heroic abilities, and then get another one from there. Just really just catapulting ahead in experience.
Level 4 picked up here from Team Naventic here, and it's going to be Arcane Intellect picked up at level 4, so we're going to be seeing Fan going for a more sustained style, which makes sense versus the Cho'Gall. You're not going to get an easy kill, even if you catch them in your Kona Cold Blizzard combo. It's such a big health pull, so going for the more Outlast type style. And again, this is exactly what Naventic needs to be doing. These rotations are perfect, and because there's only 4 bodies on the field for Tempo Storm, that means 1 less person trying to get turn-ins, and 1 less person contesting turn-ins to deny them. So Naventic doing a great job with these rotations. They're already sitting on 41 gems versus the 21 of Tempo Storm, and Zuna going to drop in 19 along with Fan dropping in 3.
We have double back and roll back as the choices for Cho'Gall. It means that Dread Orb is going to be coming back with the with its 3rd bounce, and then Rune Bomb will come all the way back to Cho'Gall as well. And it allows you to really spend a lot of time constantly denying, and if they can throw that out, deny turn-ins. But a great Blizzard and Cho'Gall actually taken out. That's a bunch of gems off the field, and they're going to be able to keep anyone from Tempo Storm being able to pick this up.
That is a huge win for Naventic here. They're still up 33 gems to 12 right now. They lost so many with that that death there onto Cho'Gall here. And this is going to be the first Web Weaver turn-in of the game here, going to Naventic as they do get in that last count there. Really well done from Naventic.
We'll see what they can get done with this. It's an early Web Weaver phase, so they're just looking to try to take out as many towers as they can, further that experience lead that they already have, looking toward having their heroic abilities sooner, but especially level 7. And once again, we have Cho'Gall in a bit of trouble, but just trying to stay back. They know the Web Weavers will start pushing soon, and they want to keep the lanes pushed as far as possible away from their structures, as the Web Weavers will push right up to the enemy minions.
Fantastic shot calling so far coming out from Naventic here. I mean, and we can hear them from over here, Gilly. They're all constantly talking, all constantly just putting in input here. There's not a single person on that team that's quiet. You know, they're a very vocal team, and you can show the influence that has in these games.
Web Weaver's starting to push in. Looks like Naventic will siege up in top, take down towers there. Web Weaver getting pretty low, using Healing Ward to keep everyone nice and healthy through any sort of poke that's happening from Tempo Storm. And they're going to push in even more. They know they have the level 7 talent advantage. Will they move in onto this fort? It looks like with the Web Weaver finally falling, they're just going to be content with those towers.
Well, we do see that level 7 is here for Team Naventic. They do have that advantage, and they do get this is a pretty significant lead for an early turn-in here, Gilly, at 5 minutes into the game. A full level lead from one turn-in is pretty good, as the siege damage isn't the best from these, and they do end up getting 2 walls because of that. Level 8 almost here for Naventic. They're going to be looking to push this lead even further, and still, despite you know, soaking all these lanes, Tempo Storm does not have enough gems for a turn-in. They don't even have a single gem turned in yet.
Yeah, that's because they lost so many when they lost Cho'Gall earlier, so they're playing catch-up with these. But it's still a long way until they're facing heroics from Naventic. But it would be nice to get a turn-in and relieve some of the pressure off their lanes. They're constantly trying to move around and match Naventic's just constant rotations, and they're finding that very difficult with only their 4 bodies that they have.
But we do see that Tempo Storm here still struggling to get a turn in here, as they're lacking the extra body. They're lacking the extra presence on the map. They can't find a way to get to these turn-ins. They finally have enough gems for one, but because of this is why Cho'Gall is so weak on this map. You don't have an extra body for turn-ins. You don't have an extra body to stall out, to body block for the big carriers there. Usually you can get a front line of 2 to 3 people in front of the guy who's holding a lot of gems, but when you're down 1 extra body, it's so much harder to do so.
So a lot of times with Rhaegar, we've seen a lot of cleanses at level 7. This time we are going to have Blood and Thunder, allowing his Ghost Wolf attacks to be able to reduce the cooldowns of his abilities. Make sure that he has those lightning shields up as much as possible. Likely we'll see Earth Shield picked up there at 13 too, because of the fact that it is percentage health based, and that's going to be huge on Cho'Gall.
Yeah, that's just such a big advantage here. I mean, I honestly think that Naventic did such a good job in this draft. It's very unconventional when you look at it just from like the 5 heroes picked. You'd be like, this is a composition that someone ran? Then you say versus Cho'Gall. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes perfect sense. This is such a well-done drafted by Naventic.
And with Arcane Intellect and Ice Lance, the reduced cooldown, you can really just keep throwing out those ice bolts for forever, or those frost bolts, and being able to just try to chunk down the members of the team from Tempo Storm. Look at this Tempo trying to turn in. It's going to get denied, and with that, Naventic are going to pick up heroic abilities, and I think they're just going to have to walk away from this.
Yeah, they can't contest this here. They did get 29 gems turned in, but not near enough for a turn in here. 20 gems being held here by Naventic here. McIntyre about to turn in 14, and Naventic on the verge of getting their second Web Weaver of the game. That's not enough with both Kenma and McIntyre. Someone else. No, wait, that is exactly enough. Okay, Castermath for the win. Second Web Weavers of the game spawning here for Naventic. They have 3 forts that are exposed now. Let's see how much damage they can do, Gilly.
Yeah, it's a much different thing than the first time, because the first time they still had to go through all the towers and gates, but with all of those down now, they should be able to work in and take out a fort, especially where Tempo Storm don't have their heroic abilities yet. They're going to try to defend this as much as possible, spreading out, but they know that it's going to be hard to keep all 3 forts alive versus this.
Well, Tempo Storm just finally about to have that level 10, but they are still struggling to get back into this game here. They have to clean up these Web Weavers as 3 are pushing. McIntyre's pushing with the top Web Weavers, but a big push here in the mid lane here from the rest of Naventic. And this fort probably going to go down here. They're looking to force the fight. Here comes KO from behind. Soldier looking to try and get some damage onto this Web Weaver, and Tube goes out, but immediately canceled from Urho, trying to hide that whiff.
Don't worry, Urho, we saw that. Don't worry. And we've got Strafe, Hammer of Twilight, Shadow Bolt Volley, Ancestral Healing, and Sundering. Will that come in? There goes the Strafe into the Sundering, and Fan will go down.
They're trying to get them even more kills, though. Urho very low. Nice Maul coming out on the Cho, though, and that saved Urho's life. That was a lot of gems on him that they did not end up wanting to lose. So, you know, Tempo Storm did get their first kill of the game, but I don't know if this changes much, because Gilly, all that did was change it to a 4 versus 4. They still can't get pressure out on the map, and these Web Weavers are still doing damage. Top fort did end up going down. Bottom fort about to go down to this last Weaver. It gets this attack off. That might be enough damage to secure the fort, and it's just barely going to whip. At the same time, 7-side strikes goes down. Nice blocking from Zix and KO to absorb as much damage as they can for the Cho'Gall, and that's another kill going over the Tempo.
Yeah, that was really key. That 7-sided strike was used completely just to try to stay alive there, but all of Tempo converged onto that point, made sure that Cho'Gall didn't take too much damage from it, and then they were positioned in a way that they were able to make sure that they did get the takedown on Kharazim. So with that now, the gems are now able to be turned in. Will they get back out in time? It's only a few seconds now. Kharazim already back up. Tempo Storm desperately trying to get some of these gems turned in, so they're not fighting with that fear of losing them.
Tempo Storm trying to get a turn in here. We'll see if they can do it. They're holding 66 gems, and this is what happened in their set versus Panda Global, where they just could not get gems turned in, and eventually I believe Stray had over 70 gems on them at one point. They don't want that to be the case again. They're looking for the turn-ins here, and they're not able to get it still. Having 66 gems being held by this team. That's such a depressing feeling to have, where you have all these gems and all it takes is one mistake, Gilly, one mistake, and you lose half your gems.
Yeah, and this creep has just been amazing for McIntyre. He has endless creep on top of it too, and they've had that spread completely between both of the turn-in points. It's hard to have vision over both of the turn-in points unless you have that Zagara. But once she has the creep spread out like that, it's so difficult to actually get in there and get a turn-in without them being able to rotate in and stop it. And once again, with Naventic almost up a talent tier, Tempo Storm are just going to have to back off, and yet again, holding 80 gems between them. Yeah,
that's a lot of gems. They're looking to turn these in here. Cho'Gall having 32 on himself. Well, they're looking to force a fight potentially on the fan. No, it's just Cho'Gall over here. So they're going to go ahead and just clear this wave. Level 13 versus level 12. Naventic still maintaining about a full level lead right now. We'll see if they can snowball that even further.
Level 13, it has been picked up. It will be Mystical Spear.
Giant Killer on Zagara, that's not something we see too often.
No.
But, you know, makes sense versus Cho'Gall.
It does. Crushing Hope's going to help with that too, and we're still waiting to see what Jaina's going to pick up. It will be Icy Veins, looking at the Ice Block too. Sometimes we see Stormfront, not very often.
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes.
Level 13 almost here for Tempo, Gilly. They need to get on that before they can contest. Naventic sitting on 40 gems right now, still not enough for a turn-in of their own, but Tempo Storm sitting on 88, and the longer this goes on without them getting a turn-in, the more stressful it is. Even if they did get a turn-in right now, they would still be sitting on 70 gems, Gilly.
Yeah, and even if they get a turn-in, their lanes are pushed, so the best thing that they can hope for is just almost a defensive one, unless they can get these lanes pushed back up more. Now, they have picked up 13. This is a good one. They do finally have that Earth Shield, which will be picked up by Rhaegar. They also have Molten Block, which is going to be really big, having that ability for Cho to be able to go into that invulnerability should he get caught out.
Well, here we go. Tempo Storm on an even tier. They're trying to get a turn in here, but can they contest this point? And Tomb goes out on KO and Goku, but no follow-up from the rest of the team. Sunring goes out and a big stray from KO, but nice disengage from Naventic, and you know, a lot of heroics used there. No value on either side. Probably a little bit more value on the end of Naventic, as Sunring is a long cooldown now, and it has been used. So another 3 gems going in here for Kenma. They're sitting on 45. It's still not enough for a full turn-in yet, but they're getting so close, and these Giants are getting scarily close to that bottom keep of Tempo Storm. Cho'Gall has to rotate to defend it.
Yeah, they have to defend it, and that means they're not getting back out. They're not trying to get into a fight with Naventic before Naventic gets once again ahead of them in talent tiers. So it's exactly what they want. They're going to pressure out a different lane too, and Tempo Storm, they are trying to find the fight. They're trying to get this turn in too. I know. I love this, by the way. When there's over 100 gems being held, it's just like one ... like too many.
It's dotting because this is embarrassing. You're holding this many gems. 7-sided strikes goes down, but not getting the best value. Ma use, it's catching Rhaegar. That's without healer for a long time. And Cho'Gall doing a lot of damage in the backline. And Kenma does be the first to fall, but can they keep Goku alive? Good heals from Zix. And a big strain from KO. That's going to be the death of Zuna as well. And Tempo Storm finally seems to be winning a fight. And Goku just barely ends up surviving. And finally, it looks like Zix going to be able to get in some gems, and that's going to be the first web waiver of the game for Tempo Storm.
They have finally broken out of the siege of Naventic. They're going to be able to push back their lanes. The lanes on both top and bottom still pushed toward the Tempo Storm base, but they're going to immediately spread out and try to do what they can to help those web weavers along, get them onto the structures of Naventic, because right now they still have all 3 of their forts up. Tempo's, all of theirs are down. They need to get some structures down.
We do see that it's level 15 to level 15 here. Tempo Storm has evened up that experience and gotten that kill advantage to see what they can do with these web weavers. You have to keep in mind all the structures still alive. This is such an uphill battle for Tempo Storm despite getting that win here. They're getting closer to 16. All heroics are up for both sides when 20 seconds, for Tempo Storm when 20 seconds when they have Ancestral up. Still a ways to go here for Naventic as they have 30 seconds on Devouring Maw.
By the way, that Shadow Bolt volley was very good from Soldier. Great placement from both the team, or both from the Cho, in order to make sure that that happens, because if you shoot that the wrong way, it's wasted. It takes so long to turn it around.
Well, middle wall goes down here for Naventic, but they do not end up losing that fort. Bottom fort's going to go down, as well as top fort completely cleared up by Naventic. So the web weavers, yes, you know, they were able to get a fort, but not the best value out of this late of a game of web weaver. You have to keep in mind, Tempo Storm still sitting on an insane amount of gems here.
We do have Dread Shield, by the way, picked up by Gall. So trying to help out with the sustainability as much as possible for Cho'Gall. I know, they have so many gems. and level 16 from both teams. So Tempo doesn't really have a huge advantage of time where they can just freely turn in, and with the map still.
They might be able to do it here though, with
creep.
only Urho nearby. Can they get the turn in? Goku getting in 30 right away. Zix going for another 18. That's not enough, I believe, for a turn in here, but they are really close. But Zix are in a really awkward spot. Zuna misses the spear, goes in for the lunge onto Zuna. Soldier coming up from the below, doing a lot of damage. Sundering comes out a big strafe as well. 7 side strikes has been used, but Soldier gets out of it, and a big maul catching 3 members there, but it doesn't matter. Leoric goes down. KO's completely isolated, and a good collapse from Naventic. It's now a 4 versus 3. The Cho'Gall charging up the front, trying to get Kenma and Fan. Great heals coming out from Kenma. A good ancestral healing into a molten block. Zuna surrounded, gets knocked back, and that might be his death, but great heals coming out from both Kenma and the Whirlwind, but not enough to keep him alive. Now Kenma is desperately low. Zix trying to get a little bit better positioning here, but he's going to keep his team alive. They might just end up backing out here because with both McIntyre and Kenma so low, they should be able to guarantee themselves a turn in here.
Now they're going directly to there. It looks like Cho'Gall wants to go to the bottom, maybe less creep spread there to try to spot this out, and that is what they're going to do. They're going to get another turn in and further try to take down some of the structures on the side of Team Naventic.
That's a second Web Weaver, 4th of the game, I believe, Gilly, but Tempo's second one here, and this is when these builds start coming together. We talk about the Rhaegar build, that level 16 talent, how influential it can be, not only on Cho'Gall, but on Thrall.
Yeah, we also have the Twilight Veil for Cho as well, picked up at 16, and that is going to help reduce out the ability damage that comes in, which is going to be great versus Jaina to do that, and I believe, 7-sided strike as well.
Well, here we go. Web Weavers being cleaned up in the bottom almost immediately. Tempo Storm's Web Weaver spawning so far back because of how far pushing their lanes are. This is already looking bad for a Web Weaver spawn. They've used so many gems so far and are getting so little value. Let's see what they can do with this turn in here. They have 2 Web Weavers. Zuna looking like he might be looking to clear top. No, he's going to rotate back down, and they're going to contest mid lane. Now, mid is dead for it's definitely going to go down, but can Tempo Storm stall in mid lane long enough for that top Web Weaver to get that top fort? There's still a full wall standing, so I don't think top's going to go down by itself, Gilly.
They do have the experience advantage now. It's not amounting to any sort of talent tier advantage, but they still at least do have that, can try to get more structures and try to further that, maybe even get their storm talents before. They still have so many gems between them. Cho'Gall holding 56. It's been really hard for him to actually be the one to get a turn in because of the fact that he's always up in front trying to zone people out, but
wow,
air ho!
Getting punished very hard. Sundering comes out, but Kenma in a good position. And wow, is that everyone caught inside the maul? I believe it is now. Is this enough damage to get the kill? 7 side strikes goes down. Zix gets the heal onto Goku here, and Tempo Storm still alive despite that 4-man maul. They're trying to get more damage onto Zuna, but I think Tempo Storm needs to retreat. They need to back out here. Soldier getting so very low. Molten Block has been used. Tempo Storm needs to retreat. KO getting low to the Blizzard. Shadow Bolt volley goes down. Good shield cut going on to Cho'Gall, and they do end up disengaging here, but Zix in a bad spot. Frost Shot's not enough to keep him alive, and they're looking for the chase. Urho is almost back up. Does he have Entomb up? He does. If he can catch KO with the Entomb, but no, the spawn animation does slow him down enough. Nice raw shots coming out from KO, but they do end up catching him, and I think that's going to be the death of KO. Yes, it is.
Oh, now can Cho'Gall get away? That's
wow.
61 gems that just got hit. 4 people down. What will Naventic do with this
Oh,
advantage?
they look like they're thinking about it. It
Yeah.
sounds like they were wanting to go for core potentially, but they're taking the safer option. They're going to back out. I honestly think they could have gone core, but 25 seconds on Rhaegar, 40 seconds on Cho'Gall and Vala. It's a 1 versus 5 for a very long time. They're going for the safe play, though. They're going to get the Web Weavers, and with this time, they're going to do some serious damage.
I like the pickup for 16 on Leoric. The fact that you're able to reduce the cooldown of Drain Hope for every second that it's on, making sure that they have that up as much as possible, because that's really key. You talked about it, and being able to take out that huge health bar of Cho'Gall.
Well, we do see that. It's level 19 versus level 19. Very even experience still, but this is such a powerful push coming out from Naventic. Not only are their Web Weavers pushing 3 lanes, which bottom and mid spawn pretty far back, but they have a boss with it as well. This should be at least 1 guaranteed keep, but if Tempo Storm misplays this 1 guaranteed keep can go into a guaranteed win for Naventic.
By the way, I noticed that Zix does have the Lightning Bond, I believe, the talent at level 1 instead of Electric Charge with the Radius. Maybe can check that out. But from now,
yes,
we'll see. Yeah, that's what I thought. So they'd have the double the shields, but it's not the extended radius. And now with this, the keep should be forfeit here. Naventic working on it, but the Sundering comes out. Can they do something from this? Looks like no, it's just going to have to be a defensive Sundering.
This is nice dash there from Cho'Gall there. A lot of heroics have been used, but both teams are going to go ahead and accept this as a loss. Now, Naventic has level 20, but they're still still the Web Weavers pushing bottom and mid Gilly. Yes, their health is very, very low, but this is going to be even more experience here. And now it's 20 versus 19. Can those Storm Talents be enough for Naventic to force a fight here? Sonya misses the spear. Zuna has to reposition himself. Web Weaver in mid has been cleaned up. Bottom one just about to die. So there's still 2 keep standing here for Tempo Storm, and they're just about to have level 20.
Level 20 talent, Spectral Leech picked up. That's going to be huge, dealing bonus damage equal to 5% of a hero's maximum health. Of course, aimed once again at Cho'Gall for Leoric, but also Storm Shield to help out with the damage coming out by Karzim. Bolt of the Storm for Zagara as well as Jaina.
This is probably checkmate here, Gilly, as the Naventic getting another Web Weaver turn in. And look how far pushed up the lanes are against Tempo Storm. All 3 of these are spawning in basically their base. 2 keeps are exposed. Top keep completely it's gone. With catapults pushing that lane, with the Web Weaver spawning on core, Tempo Storm has to force a fight now if they want a chance, or this is just going to be Naventic's game.
I like that they were immediately ready to turn into, knowing that Tempo Storm would still be back trying to clean up the mess that the Web Weavers caused, but also trying to get 20. So now here comes Zuna, pretty far forward, has to whirlwind back out. Shadow Bolt Volley goes down, does have the Pierce now picked up at level 20, but still with that down for 60 seconds and not taking anyone out. That's a pretty big win for Naventic.
Good siege damage coming out from Tempo Storm, though they already cleared up the middle Web Weaver. If they can get the bottom one cleared up in time and then defend their core, Tempo Storm won't take too much serious damage, but wherever Tempo Storm ends up going, Naventic's going to go the other way. And I like this decision to split up here, but will they be punished for it? It looks like mid keep will go down, but they save bottom keep, and they're going to probably save the core as well. So they do end up clearing this up. And actually, the keep didn't fall. They're going for it here. Sunring goes out. Sonya's isolated. He gets rooted. Nice shield coming out, but they do end up getting disengaged upon. 7 side strikes go down. Molten block used. Ma in the backline catching 2 members. KO still doing as much damage as they can. Urho trying to pop Ray Ralph. He's trying to reposition himself, but Tempo Storm looking for the chase, and they do not end up getting any kills here. That's still 2 keeps standing here for Tempo Storm. What an impressive defense. I can't believe they didn't lose any keeps with that second push.
Yeah, it was an amazing defense, and now they have a lot of breathing room because there's only 14 gems held by Naventic. There's no longer a talent advantage. We've got level 20 for Tempo Storm as well. They just need to try to get their lanes pushed back as they need to relieve some of this pressure on them, and especially with that top lane. You know, that's lane priority on Tomb of the Spider Queen because that is where boss pushes down.
Well, we do see that Tempo Storm has almost enough gems for a turn-in, but because of those back-to-back turn-ins, Naventic's sitting on only 14 gems, so it's going to be a while before they get a Web Weaver. They are pressuring this mid lane here. Tempo Storm looking for the rotation. Goku does show himself here. Still needing more gems for both these teams to get a Web Weaver. Boss spawns in, let's see here, 1 minute and 20 seconds.
So lots of breathing room. Once again, that top lane is going to start to get pushed out every time Tempo Storm tries to get back out onto the battleground.
And Tomb has been used. Urho's isolating both Goku and KO here. Completely wasted heroic there. He used it by himself. The team was completely isolated. Half of them were messing with the Cho'Gall. The other half were looking at KO and a Goku. Nothing came of that. That's going to be 34 seconds until it's back up. And Tomb being a very short heroic cooldown.
Try to clear up these giants as much as possible. Both teams looking to clear wherever possible. Neither has enough for a turn-in yet, although Tempo is the one who is closer. So trying not only to clear, push back their lanes, but also get enough gems that they can get that, because that will really be a big help in relieving all of the push that is happening in their lanes.
Kemma getting 12 gems turned in, still so far away. They need 70 for a full turn in here. Uro taking some light damage here. Cho'Gall looking to force the fight, pressuring them back as well as they can here. Fan, though, looking for those flanks that we are, Jaina is well known for, but not going to commit for it. It looks like they're just going to zone out for their team. 23 being turned in on Goku, 5 onto KO.
And still moving around. Start throwing out. Wrath of the Berserker goes down. Zuna gets rooted. We'll be able to get away. Thankfully, with Wrath of the Berserker, you do have that Relentless.
Cho'Gall taking a lot of damage. 7 seconds on, but the Ancestral just barely connects, and Urho solo in the backline. That's going to be Storm Shield used. Zuna goes for KO, but KO bolts back. They're trying to get the turnaround kill. Cho'Gall with the ultimate. They're going to try and kite back there, but reposition themselves very, very well. Not going to end up going down. Still no kills on the other side. Both teams are so afraid of each other. The moment Sonya goes in, multiple members of Tempo Storm bolt out. The moment Cho'Gall goes in, multiple members of Naventic just end up backing out.
Yeah, this is so important for both of these teams. Tempo Storm down on this,
Entomb,
and
this is
Entomb is great. Multiblock goes down, though. Can he wait for his team to get back in here? It looks like yes. He is going to get hit by the Ancient Spear, but use the Hammer of Twilight to push Sonya back and allow himself to get away, but they have been pushed away from this turn-in point.
I didn't realize Molten Block was already back up. Nice job there from Cho'Gall, keeping themselves alive and stalling out that death. Still 25 gems turned into 28 of Tempo Storm. Tempo Storm sitting on 24 more gems. Still not enough for a turn-in, Gilly, but they're getting much, much closer.
McIntyre once again doing a good job of keeping the creep spread, forcing Tempo Storm to use some of those abilities. in order to try to get rid of it wherever possible. And that's just great. It wastes some of those abilities, obviously, some of the mana pool too, but it looks like we're gonna have another fight. A 7-sided strike goes down. Soldier does get out of it in time, but
nice
gets
maw.
hit by a devouring maw.
McIntyre's maw has been off point all day, but a big strafe from KO. They're going on to Cho'Gall. He backs back. Ziggs overextended. Can he keep himself alive? Ancestral connects at the last second, and Urho's the first to fall in the fight. They're turning around on the Kenma. Kenma gets the dash to McIntyre, but it's gonna fall. Ziggs still so low, but the rewind showing its value in this fight. Fan trying to kite for McIntyre, gets the sloth, but Goku's there, and that is a 3-for-0 exchange. They're gonna go for the push here. Urho halfway to rezzing up. What can Tempo Storm do this? They have enough gems for a turn, and can they do some serious damage with this push though? Zuna's going top lane just to, I don't know what he's actually doing up here. He's sitting in a bush.
He's up there with Fan 2. Not sure that Tempo Storm would even realize this.
Oh, they're going for back door. They're going for a 2-man back door. They're going for the core. There's 2 catapults there. Can Tempo Storm end up pulling this? Are they going to back out with the web weavers? We see Cho'Gall going back there. Will he end up getting stalled out? No, he doesn't. Urho slows him down the last second. They're going for the back out, though. This was such a beautiful shot call coming out from Naventic. They forced all of Tempo Storm back. They stalled out Cho'Gall, and they didn't lose a single life. Really well done by Naventic.
They're going to be able to get out of here, and that is huge.
And look
they
how
pulled
far
back.
the web weavers are spawning back.
Molten Block once again going to be used here, but the big deal is they pulled Tempo Storm away from their keeps. Yes, mid keep is still very low, getting hit by minions, but the fact that they didn't lose way more than that when they really lost that team fight hard is huge for Naventic.
And the web weavers from top and bottom are so far back. I don't know when bottom keep fell. I think it was a while ago, but Tempo Storm looking to potentially get a win here through this mid lane, but by the time the web weaver gets there, it's already going to be down to half HP. Tempo Storm has to do something crazy here to win this fight and go for the core. The keep is going to end up going down here, but can Tempo Storm end with this web weaver?
It's endless siege that they have with the Cho'Gall. Goku is still here. All heroics up for both sides. Looking to see if they can do
Tempo
this. They're
Storm's
going to push
looking
in
like
with
they're going
this.
for the end. Yeah, they want to finish this right now.
It's a 26-minute game.
Yes.
So it's late. Damage, there's a lot of damage. And it's up to Naventic to push them off here.
This is such a stressful moment. Tempo Storm, the web weaver is already dead here. Looks like they're going for it with Cho'Gall here. He's already taking a lot of damage. The core is losing a chill. It's falling faster. Ma is on. Goku alone. KO with the bolt to the side. It's falling so fast. 50%. Can they end this out here? And Tomb goes out, but I don't think it matters. And Tempo Storm with the Molten Block. Can they end? It's 4%. And that's going to be it. GG. Tempo Storm ties up the set.
Tempo Storm, the first team to take a game off of Team Naventic. Through all of these qualifiers, they dropped no games.
They did not drop a game through a single qualifier. They went 2-0 versus King of Blades Alpha, and they just lost their first game.
What a great feeling for Tempo Storm, especially when we saw, once they drafted that Cho'Gall, the smile on Stray's face, wondering how this was going to work.
The face palm and everything. Taking a look at the hero damage here. Gall with 114,000 damage, a little bit, about 10k ahead of KO, who had 108,000. The third highest was McIntyre with only 80,000 damage. So it just shows you the raw damage that both Cho'Gall and, Gall and Bala have, which is great versus a solo support Karazim.
Yeah, they were really able. I like that they almost baited them into saying, okay, we need a Karazim and we've got to go with that 7-sided strike because we need it for the damage. That's the classic to burn down a Cho'Gall, but at the same time, at the end there, especially once you got the piercing bolts from Shadow Bolt Volley, that is so, if it's on, if it's hitting the right people.
That Ancestral right there is what single-handedly won Tempo Storm the game. I cannot believe, if Ziggs died there, game.
Yeah.
Completely game. That 1% Ancestral Connect is what won them that game. That is a crazy. And taking a look at siege damage, I just want to show people the power of Gall, who has no mana, can just spam spells. 300,000 siege damage done by Soldier by playing Gall. That is absurd amount of damage.
It's nearly double Jaina's at 182.
Yeah. That is a lot of siege damage. Gall really showing his value as hero. Tempo Storm, we saw them jump up and cheer. They were really excited about this win, but I think they won with a little bit of a cheese kind of strat here. I don't think they're going to be able to do that versus Game 3 versus Naventic. They're going to have to figure something out because Naventic, it's going to be, I believe, their map. So this is going to be, they may have tied it up, but it's still going to be a hard battle to win.
Oh, absolutely. Indeed, my friend. But they've got to feel so great here. We've talked about it before. They feel the rivalry. They have an ex-teammate here, at least for KO and Soldier. They've been kicked out of 2 of tournaments by Team Naventic. So finally being able to secure a victory over them in a tournament has got to be such a great feeling for Tempo Storm.
Absolutely. It's going to be Battlefield of Eternity for our next map, final map of this set.
And this is, again, in these extremely important matches. We saw the elimination match, King of Blades Alpha versus Panda Global went to Game 3, and this is the map that decides who comes out of this group in #1 seed for the round of 4. And it's going to game number 3.
Yeah, and it's a really big deal to come out at the #1 seed too, because you are going up against
Yes.
technically the weaker team from the other group, as it's #1 versus #2 from the other group. So that's a great feeling. Besides the fact that you can rest for so long, like midday yesterday.
It's so flip-floppy.
Yeah, well, I think Anna did call them wishy-washy, or not wishy-washy. I don't remember what it was. Undecided.
Undecided.
We'll go with undecided
well,
there.
Tempo Storm is barely with that vote there, guys. Make sure you do get on Twitter. Use the hashtag HGC and let us know what you're thinking about these games. Which teams you think or that you want to win as well.
All right, so Battlefield of Eternity. Now, Panda Global, Tempo Storm actually picked this versus Panda Global before.
Yes.
So it is at least somewhere where they're feeling okay, they have strategies for. And with favoring Zagara, they've had so much they've preferred Zagara for so
Yes.
long.
That's been a staple pick for KO since the Heroes release, basically.
Always has loved the brood mother of the Swarm, but she's a great pickup here. I mean, really, there's so many reasonings to have Zagara like anywhere, but it's such a good one to have for Battlefield.
Well, you see Naventic here. Not looking too shaken up about that loss. You know, they do know they lost to something. They did an unconventional draft. You know, the double warrior with Leoric Sonya, not very common. Solo support Karazim, not very common anymore. They tried to make it work versus Cho'Gall. Didn't end up working. You know, their heads seem to be clear. They seem to be pretty calm over there. Just going to go into game number 3, play standard, play what they normally do, and, you know, look for a win.
You know, it didn't end up working, but it almost did.
Almost did.
They really...
That Ancestral was like 2 damage probably. I want to go in the replay and see what his HP actually hit before he died. But guys, the draft for game number 3 has started. This is the final game of this set, and we will find out the first team who makes it to the round of 4 here at the North American Regionals.
All right, so last time Tempo Storm was first picked, first banned Thrall versus Naventic. Will we see that again? Actually, Greymane going to be a choice here.
Okay, Greymane.
I mean, McIntyre.
McIntyre's Greymane is terrifying, as well as Greymane's siege damage is terrifying. That's what first got me noticing this hero when Europe was running him all the time. Is his damage early game was okay, but what his siege damage was, he'd be hitting 70, 80k very, very quickly. And this is a map that's about siege damage.
Once again, we see Naventic choose to ban Zeratul versus Tempo Storm instead of Rhaegar. Goku, great. It's a great pick for him, but also just the fact that Zeratul can really turn a fight at any stage because of the power of Void Prison. It's such an amazing heroic ability.
Yes, it is. Very, very powerful. We'll see here what Tempo Storm wants to pick up here. It's going to be Rhaegar. Zig's going to go ahead and get that Rhaegar. We saw the clutchest of clutch Ancestrals that last game. I bet they're hoping they're not that close anymore. That's a little bit too much stress for any one person to deal with there. And immediate, Naventic doesn't even think about it. They give Fan Li Ming, and they're going to give McIntyre that Zagara. This is exactly the composition. I mean, this is what Naventic wants. I mean, you saw the Respect Band game 2 from Li Ming. Fan's going to be back on that, and it is terrifying. We talked about siege damage. Those 2 heroes have a lot of it.
I like the Zeratul ban in that case because it's like, do you want Rhaegar or Zagara? Either way, we're going to get one of them. And they choose to pick up the Rhaegar, which means that Naventic gets the Zagara. And talk about powerful heroics. When you can hit Devouring Maws the way McIntyre has been, then that can really be a game changer.
Yes, it can be. Yes, it absolutely can be. Falstad picked up here. That'll be played by Soldier from Tempo Storm. We'll see here what their next pickup's going to be. Are they willing to lock in a Warrior? We did see a lot of early pickups from Joanna from Tempo Storm today. Last game being the only game they didn't run Joanna, but it's going to be Thrall instead. Okay, so they're getting Goku Thrall.
Yeah, they see that they've got, Naventic has a solo lane hero of their own. They're going to grab Thrall so that he can contend with her. They also make sure that they have sustained damage. I'm wondering if we'll see what kind of a...
Naventic saying, no, we're not going to ever play against that ever again. They don't care what they give up. Jaina, Lunara, they don't care. They're not playing against Cho'Gall ever again.
That's pretty funny. I like that too. It's just like, you know what? We're confident we can play against anything you throw at us, but we are not dealing with that.
He's tough. He's very difficult to play against. It's not an easy war versus the Cho'Gall, especially with the picks they have right now. Cho'Gall if it gets into the backline, can devour a Li Ming very quickly.
And once again with the Rhaegar too. I mean, people really like to pair them together.
Wow. Naventic knows. I mean, Naventic knows exactly what they want. They're going full tryhard mode. They're not holding back anything. Immediately locking the Muradino himself, as well as Sonya. Really great front line. I mean, this is like as standard as it gets for a Naventic draft. Probably going to be seeing that Uther last pick.
Now we have 2 more picks for Tempo Storm. It will be their warrior, likely Johanna. We've been seeing a lot of Johanna from Tempo Storm. ETC still available too, but it's been so much, except for the Cho'Gall, it's just been so much just Johanna.
I actually really like Johanna here. You get the blinds for both Sonya, Murden, and Zagara. Zagara with the Envenom Spines has a lot of auto attacks. Murden, but Urho almost always going battle momentum, going to be able to slow that down. And of course, Sonya doing a lot of auto attack damage. So, you know, Johanna makes a lot of sense, especially on this map for stalling out those Immortals. What will be that last pickup here for Tempo Storm? KO? Will it be the Vala again? He had very good Vala play last game. The positioning was great. The strafes were on point. Or will we see
Jaina's still
essentially
available.
Jaina as well?
It's
Now,
crazy.
I did talk to KO earlier about his games versus
King of Blades?
Pana Global.
Oh, or Pana, yes.
On game number 2, where KO played Jaina, and I talked to him after the game, and he said he was very unhappy with the way he played Jaina. He wasn't feeling comfortable on it. It's been a long time since he's played Jaina. So we'll see if that's something that KO is willing to do here in this game.
Well,
Will it be just, you know, there's 2 heroes. When you think of KO, what heroes do you think of? Zagara and Vala.
Yeah. I mean, it is a
For good
battleground.
reasons, though.
Ooh.
Oh, so it is going to be Lunara. Awesome.
Nice.
Lunara's so good on this map. Nature's Calling at level 7 allows you to do so much siege damage. We saw King of Blades Alpha utilizing Lunara on this map earlier today.
Yeah, and it is a battleground where you want the siege damage, and especially sustained damage is more of a priority too, because of there's always generally times when you have to race the other team down with the Immortals. So being able to do that for them, they've got some great.
No surprise.
They've got great heroes for that. But yeah, finishing the draft with Uther.
Yep. Really no surprise there. I mean, Kenma made it look very good in the games he's played so far. Pairs very well with Sonya. If I'm looking at this and thinking at it objectively, I think both teams, minus 1 pick on the end of Tempo Storm, got the exact compositions that they wanted. Neither team was drafting around each other, like trying to deny picks, trying to force them on the comps that they don't want. They were making sure that each team got the comp, like they got what they wanted to run. I think both teams did that.
And what's the 1 pick?
Lunara. I think if Tempo Storm were to be like, we want these 5 heroes every single game, it'd be Zagara instead of Lunara. But Lunara's not necessarily a bad pick, and KO can play it very well. I'm curious if it should be KO on Lunara, it should be Soldier on Falstad, and then, of course, Goku on Thrall.
We will see very soon, but this is it, Zoya.
Yeah, this is it.
Game number 3 between these 2 teams. Winner moves on to the semifinals. Will face the 2nd place finisher out of the group from Group B tomorrow, and the loser of this.
I got punked. It is KO on Falstad.
The loser of this game has to go up against a King of Blades Alpha tomorrow.
Yes, they do. Winner goes on, of course, to the right on the floor. But you get a significant prize bump as well.
Absolutely. Well, we are almost there in the game. But guys, we want to hear from you. Don't forget to tweet using the hashtag HGC, because this is Game 3 between Tempo Storm and Team Naventic.
Here we go, guys. Get hyped in the chat, because this is it. On the left-hand side of the map in the blue trucks, it's going to be Naventic. Fan playing Li Ming, Zuna on Sonya, McIntyre playing Zagara, Uro playing Murden, and rounding out the team is going to be Kenma on Uther.
And in the red, it's Tempo Storm feeling great after a victory over Naventic finally in the last game, with KO playing Falstad, Zix running into a wall endlessly as Rhaegar, Soldier playing Lunara, Srey on Johanna, and finally Goku playing Thrall.
So much pressure on the line for both these teams. I talked about it before game number 1. Zuna said to me backstage, he's very confident in his team. If they drop a single game, he's going to be upset, and they just dropped the game. We'll just see if that affects the mentality of his team this game, because they were looking to go into this tournament and be undefeated the entire time.
It's going to be power hungry still for Li Ming, even though this is a battleground where you're out of lane and not getting as many regeneration globes from that. And that might be why Uther is still kind of considering what he wants to do. Still going to be Conjurer's Pursuit picked up for him at level 1.
Well, it's going to be Thrall versus Zagara. You know, this is one of the more consistent matchups we have in the top lane. Thrall and Zagara are considered the 2 best laners in the game. And, you know, I've seen Goku and KO practice this matchup in custom games all the time. And if it's played perfectly, it's won by the Zagara.
Well, we'll see how McIntyre can do with that, as they're both posturing around each other. And Arrow maybe looking to make that not as a fair fight, as he is coming up looking for that rotation, but Goku playing safe, realizing that he's off of the battleground and going to stay back and close underneath the safety of his towers.
Urho rotating back down towards the mid. Going to be potentially aggressing on either lane, just waiting for either side to potentially overextend. And until we get that first mortal spawn Gilly, which would be in the next 15 seconds, You know, both teams playing very safe, but just look at the siege damage from Li Ming. It is so good.
Later on, we'll see Soldier with that similarly, especially if he picks up Nature's Culling, which is very likely on this battleground. But for now, Li Ming is the queen at being able to just burst down those towers, and that can give them, if they could get that, a healthy little bit of a lead going into this first Immortal phase.
Well, it is about to spawn in 5 seconds, Gilly. We'll see where they end up being. And Tempo Storm versus Naventic, which one will come out on top? And Naventic with the better spawn, already on top of the Immortal for Tempo Storm. They rotate up, and it should be won here by Naventic.
Starting to burn it down, but so is Tempo Storm. Very close, neck and neck, but Naventic will bring it to the mid. About 2,000 worth of damage done so far as they hit the halfway point and rotate back. Will we see Beleth pushing down the lanes, or will we see Alarian making his charge after this phase?
Nice stun into stun from Urho, just stalling out as much damage as he can. This is a very close race, though. Well, who will come out on top? It looks like Naventic will just barely be able to burn down it with about 1,500 HP left over on their own. So really well done from both warriors. You saw Stray disrupting the line of Naventic, as well as Urho doing the Stormbolt into the Mortal Stun onto Goku. So that stalled out enough damage, as well as the damage that was done to Urho there. Goku was initially attacking him, so all of that damage that could have been on the Immortal was on Urho. So really good job from Urho there to just do as much disruption as he could.
Sonya and Thrall already soaking down in the bottom lane versus each other, making sure they keep up with that lane soak there. Goku taking some seismic slam damage there, has to back up. Looks like Sonya could potentially rotate up, but is maybe just playing mind games there with Goku as Thrall. But this Immortal is going to push through the towers. Not sure how much more Naventic will get with this. Fairly unsafe to try to push in any further, especially with that getting taken down so quickly. Tempo at least did a good job of taking down the amount of shield that Immortal was going to have that first phase.
Absolutely. Doing a very good job of it. But nice win here for Naventic, as they do have a slight experience lead and are able to control the map. It's going to be Zuna laning versus Goku here in the bottom. And looks like the first camp here potentially taken, but nice invade coming out from Naventic. They could smell it being taken. That's what they're known for, is the invades. Iron Skin has been popped very early, and they're going to go ahead and retreat.
Hunter Killer pushing back. Stray, by the way, wanted to point out that we have updraft, so the range increase for barrel roll for Falstad, looking to make sure that he can save lives, stay
K1
alive,
Pro was the
survivability.
first one I saw take that talent.
Well, it's
It was
also
seasoned marksman for a very long time, and then K1 Pro was the initial one. I believe at BlizzCon is when he first busted out updraft.
And like seasoned marksman's still taking a lot of the time with secret weapon and power throw, but because of the fact that you are out of lane so much and there's so much lockdown and wanting to make sure you can barrel roll away from anything crazy from Naventic, it's going to be nice for him, but you know, you won't have that quite as big of scaling into the late game as you would with seasoned marksman.
Yeah, we'll see how this is going to affect the play here. Will they be a little bit light on damage, or will the updraft be saving KO's lifetime and time again? I almost said Soldier, because I'm just so used to Soldier being the Falstad player here. Looks like Bruiser Camp on the right-hand side of the map going to be taken here by Tempo Storm. Naventic, of course, already taken. There's going to be pushing on that bottom lane. And still Urho versus Goku in the bottom. Should be easily cleaned up here by Tempo Storm. The next Immortal is going to be spawning very soon, Gilly. Oh, this invade coming from Naventic here onto Tempo Storm's Bruisers. They get onto the point, but they immediately back out of there. And they might have actually overextended a bit. Kenma's in a lot of trouble here. Nice Baneling's actually coming out from McIntyre, doing a lot of splash damage there. It does not look like Kenma will end up going down, but he's going to have to tap well very early here. And the Immortal spawn, very good, well spawned for Naventic. They needed time to stall out for Kenma to get topped off. So this was actually, could not have been better spawns for Naventic.
It was nice that he did have a well tap, but you said it was early, and that's right. If he takes a lot of damage now, won't have that, would have to go all the way back now too. They're looking to try to catch somebody underneath, and even underneath, the enemy's Immortal still able to body block Rhaegar into oblivion.
That was a beautiful cleanse as well from Kenma onto Zuna, allowing him to reposition himself. Naventic played that fight perfectly, and already the Immortal for Tempo Storm is almost half HP. Just showing you what the poke from Fan from so far away.
Oh, I'm so excited because we have my favorite Li Ming talent coming out. It's going to be Calamity this time from Fan. So far, we've had very Magic Missile focused every time we've seen Li Ming, but I really enjoy the Calamity build, especially once you get Illusionist. Just being able to be so aggressive. It's funny to see a mage be so aggressive like that.
Soldier trying to reposition himself a bit here, doing as much damage to this Immortal as he can, but I don't think it matters, as actually Kenma taking a lot of damage here. The rest of Tempo Storm looking to get aggressive. Urho rotating up. Soldier's going to go ahead and dismount him. About a quarter HP left on the Immortal for Tempo Storm. Naventic definitely looking to close this out. Lunara keeps rotating up to do as much damage as they can. Urho goes for a double stun here, or so actually single stun. He did not end up getting the double stun. He did go battle monkey like I thought he would. So Immortal getting very, very low. Goku about to go down, cleanses, but happens, but not going to change anything there. And a lot of damage actually on the
the backline of Naventic from the Immortal stuns there. Zix trying to reposition himself. I don't think he's going to be able to get out here. He might help secure a kill onto Urho. The poison damage is taking. Will Urho go down? Kemba doesn't have a heal up from, but the self-heal from Murden helps keep him alive, and that last Holy Light from Kemba able to top him up, and the Immortal goes to Naventic.
And this time Ilarion is far more shielded as he'll be pushing down that bottom lane. Stray in trouble. Iron Skin popped. Can he get away? It looks like they don't want to try to push in, knowing that the poison damage is there. By the way, Nature's Calling was picked up for Lunara, so that will help in the future Immortal fights, but it was pretty late into that one. So with that, Naventic are going to have a nice advantage with this this Immortal.
More with half shield here. Definitely going to be able to get this fort even without Li Ming and Zagar being with it. Sonya in the top lane as well. Fort should end up going down, but great siege so far from Tempo Storm. Stray doing a good job of zoning out Urho and Kenma, and they're burning this down pretty quickly. They might actually not get the fort here because of the delay from both Urho and Kenma and Fan getting here. And while the Immortal falls and the fort still stands, might have been a bit of a misplay coming out from Naventic here, not sending at least one more person to push with that.
Stray did a great job of zoning them away.
Yes, he did.
And now, as Lunara starts to scale and do a lot more damage, it could be something that Uther struggles with healing from that because of the fact.
That's a good point.
Yeah, because of the fact that she has this just poison damage, and he's very cooldown based. So if he runs out of those cooldowns and he's not looking for the cooldown reduction on Holy Radiance either, he had to pick up Cleanse there at level 7. So that could be a huge problem going into the later game for Team Naventic.
Level 10 here for Naventic, and they're catching Stray. Disintegrate goes out. Iron Skin has been popped, but I think Stormbolt is still available, and it does end up not being used here. Goes for the Dwarf Toss, missed the body block there. A beautiful cleanse timing from Zix. That was almost instantaneous, and Stray not going to go down. Fan over the wall shooting spells at that fort, and not going to end up going down here. Goku still in that top lane, still getting experience. Going to start the Bruiser camp as KO is flying up top, and that should be getting Tempo Storm very close to level 10, but that bottom fort finally did end up falling.
Man, Zix's play has really been impressing me, from the ancestral healing last game to that clutch cleanse. He saved Johanna's life there, being able to do that from the Stormbolt. So really great play coming out from Zix. Definitely feeling the adrenaline of such a hype match, knowing that they're one game away from getting into the semifinals over Team Naventic.
Level 10 here for Tempo Storm, finally taking a look at the heroics. Nothing out of the ordinary on either side. Standard per usual. Bruiser camp being taken by Tempo on the right. Naventic at the same time takes the left camp, and that is going to be the Immortal spawning in 10 seconds, Gilly.
Great timing from both teams, making sure that they're pushing along with the Immortals, looking to try to get some free damage onto some of the structures of their opponent's team. And in that top, that'll be a really good push.
Oh, this is bad for Tempo. Lunara and Joanna went to the bottom lane to clean that camp, and this is so much free damage onto their Immortal here, but Tempo Storm looking to get aggressive.
Yeah, they're going to move in and actually leave Lunara into the back to just do what she can. The rest of them are going to zone Naventic away for now. There's 2 choke points that they're trying to keep them from being able to come in on, with Thrall on one side if he needs to throw out the Sundering, a Stray on the other, but he's going to start to get pushed back as Wrath's Berserker comes in. They see that damage is going down onto their own Immortal, so they know that Lunara is not with them. She had to come in now as well, and she will be able to try to push them back.
Blessed Chill on the Zuna. The Maw is there, and the Divine Shield perfectly timed. Fan over the wall with Disintegrate, but a good Ancestral coming out from Zix onto Stray there, and that's going to keep him alive there. But look at that top fort, Gillyweed. The Shamans that were left uncleaned are about to take that down, and now the Immortal for Naventic is getting burned down so fast. Urho's looking to contest. They get Stray. Iron Skin pop very early. They're going for the body block, and Stray might go down here. Ancestral's not up, but a nice Condemn on top of Fan to interrupt that. That's going to be the death of Stray.
It was amazing decision-making by Tempo to have them clear out the Bruisers so that they wouldn't lose as much to the Bruisers, although they did lose that fort. It wasn't going to push as much, you know, all the way up to the keep. But unfortunately, with losing Stray there, they are going to still try to maybe come in and contest this. They know everyone is here, and they're trying to stop them as much as possible. We see maybe a Mighty Gust push them away.
They're trying to defend this, and the top fort did end up going down to those Bruisers, so Tempo Storm getting a nice win there, but they still have 6,000 damage they have to avoid, and that is going to be Disintegrate used to finish it off. So the second Immortal of the game going over to Naventic.
Well, Ilarion actually will crash down and start to push up toward the top, toward that final fort remaining for Tempo Storm Naventic, with a little bit of a level lead, but it's very close between these teams. 4 takedowns for Naventic, none yet for Tempo Storm, so that's a little bit of a difference, but Tempo's still doing a good job despite that of trying to keep up in experience.
Naventic, though, doing a great job with the rotations and trying to close out this game as well. They're going to take down the second fort of the game here. No way this one lives, even though Tempo Storm has great siege damage right now. They're going to go ahead and fall back behind their keep wall. I don't think they'll be able to get too much out of this push unless they get an easy kill on someone. This should get the keep wall, and Naventic will back out after that.
Fan already starting to throw out that arcane orb, doing a fair amount to that tower, which will get taken out. Ilarion starting to get burned down too. Watching out for the stun, very important, as there are so many stuns from Naventic that they could quickly throw down to try to catch a quick takedown from that. But Tempo Storm now, no level 13 talent, so they're going to try to rotate out as much as possible. They do have the split soak and Falstad, and he's going to go down into that bottom lane.
Top can't be capped here by Naventic. They're waiting it out, though. They're being as patient as they possibly can before finishing that. Lunara Wisp does get denied scouting it, as Urho did kill it off, but they do know that it was taken now. Bottom camp being started by Zuna, or at least scouted by Zuna. He's going to end up walking away. He's actually in a pretty scary spot. He's isolated from the rest of the team. There's 4 members of Tempo Storm nearby.
Looks like more people are coming. Uther's starting to rotate around too, and yeah, without having 13, Tempo just knows that they can't be too aggressive here, because if they start to lose people, they're going to get further and further behind. Right now, it's not too much of an issue. They're going to get 13 before the next Immortal phase, but if they really get caught out, then they're facing an issue of Immortal starting to move on to their keeps.
Naventic doing an excellent job of maintaining that experience lead up, still over a full level here. Fan not even afraid to use Disintegrate to just get a little bit of extra siege damage on this bottom keep wall. With the Immortal spawning soon, you know, any extra damage you do to this wall makes, you know, the Immortal do even more when it pushes here. But finally, Tempo Storm getting that level 13, Gilly.
They are going to get 13. Been looking very standard. We have Earth Shield there, picked up unfair advantage for Lunara, and we have a lot of slows that she can use that with in conjunction with, as it does make Nature's Toxin do 50% more damage to anyone slowed. There's the slow that comes in from her Crippling Spores, of course, but then there's also Punish from Johanna, the Earth Bind Totem from Rhaegar, and then even the slows from Hammering too.
Well, both Bruiser camps being taken this game. Last time left uncontested, got Tempo Storm a fort. I doubt either team will be letting that happen again. But Naventic on the verge of that level 16 as they're just about to hit 15. Disintegrate coming out early. Iron Skin popped very early here from Sray to keep himself alive. We'll see what they can do with this time now that they know that the Joanna player is vulnerable.
It's like Murden going up to defend. Sonya helping along those bruisers as much as possible, trying to force some people down here in to try to respond to it. And with that, you instantly see the rest of the members of Naventic go in. This is a problem for Tempo. They're the ones who are behind. They're the ones who can't let this go on for too long, or Naventic are just going to pick up 16, and Tempo will have to give up another Immortal.
Well, we do see that a lot of damage going on the Goku. Does reposition themselves. Stuns Kenma with his root. Level 16 so close here for Naventic. They're doing such a good job of maintaining this experience lead. But Tempo Storm needs to force that fight now. They know that. They need to make something happen as Naventic on the verge of 16. Disintegrate goes out. Good condemn from Sray, and KO gets hit with that Ancestral Gust used, but not much value out of it. They're looking for Zuna. They do not end up slowing him down. Ma has been used. Only catches the Joanna player there, but Sray, wow, just gets immediately annihilated out of that, but at the same time, Li Ming's gonna go down. Urho very low from the poison. Kenma getting low as well. Can Kenma keep him alive? Thrall's gonna fall to Zuna, and Urho's poison. Will the self-heal keep him alive? Kenma trying to get to him, and he just barely survives the Lunara poison.
That's the problem. We talked about it, about Uther trying to deal with Lunara poisons. Once his cooldowns are down, that's a long time to have to wait with her throwing out a bunch of damage, and especially when it's doing 50% more if it's slowed. But Stormbolt is going to hit Soldier, slowed down by the Thunderclap, and Lunara gets taken out for 34 or more seconds, and with that, Naventic pick up level 16 talents.
Yeah, this is a huge lead for Naventic. They're going to be getting so much Immortal damage as Soldier's not up for 25 seconds, and Lunara is like the backbone of this composition. Without Lunara, Tempo Storm can't contest points, they can't siege, they can't really do anything. So with him being gone for 15 seconds, this is going to be a very powerful Immortal here for Naventic.
With level 16 too, they're going to have a healthy amount of push available with this Immortal too. It's going to have a lot of shields. They have 16, so Tempo Storm has to play back. They have to play safe. They know that if they lose too much here, Naventic could push in with this and win.
We'll see here if that's going to be the case. Tempo Storm has a long way, a very long and dark road until level 16 here, and they might not be able to get it. Like you said, this could very much be core. Immortals pushing bottom lane. Is going straight on to keep. Tempo Storm going to struggle to fight this 15 versus 17, and this is going to be a very tough hold.
Naventic already pushing up the lane, making sure the Immortal can walk straight up to that keep, taking down the walls, making sure that they can spread out and make sure that they don't get too many people caught into the condemned. And
Keeps falling so fast
it
here,
is.
Gil. He's already at half HP, and Moral's going to take it down. Wrath of the Berserker popped from Zuna. Spear does not end up connecting with anyone. They're going to get the keep, but will they be looking for more? Soldier already at half HP. Nice heals coming out from Zix to keep him topped off. They're looking for it, though. They're going for potentially the end. The Stormbolt hits with Lunara. Fan Blanks 4 does a lot of damage, but nice cleanse coming on the Soldier from Zix. Goku gets hit with an Ancestral, but pretty early there. Good chain heals coming out. Stray's very low, and he's going to be the first to fall in this fight. Immortal's going for a core. They get the Maw out. They're trying to end here, and they're going for it. It's a loss in the HP. Soldier does not end up falling here. Can they hold this at 70%? And Naventic is trying to end out, and I think they've got it. Immortal still have HP. GG. Naventic is the first team to make it to the round of 4. Congratulations to them.
I hear the yells. They are so happy they made it through there. Moving on to the semifinals, Game 2 looked scary. And it looked like maybe the damage was going to come back, especially with Lunara having only Uther to try to deal with that. But a great job by them of being able to make sure that that didn't get too much of an issue for them, winning even before we could see 16 for Tempo.
Naventic, we talked about it in the draft. Both teams probably got the ideal draft they wanted for that map. They both drafted for their styles, and Naventic just looked better. That style, the way they played the game, they played that phenomenally. 9 kills to 2. Their aggression was almost perfect. Really good job. And you see these guys hugging each other. Like I said, these guys scrim each other more than any other team. They're their #1 scrim partners. They're good friends. They talk all the time. You see the hugs going out. You got former teammates, KO and Soldier with Zuna. I mean, despite the loss, these guys are, they love each other a lot.
They are so happy, and they should be, because
Yes.
they are one step away from getting a trip to Seoul.
Yeah.
And they've just greatly increased their prize pool, too, by making it to the
round of 4.
semifinals. Yeah.
Yeah, so #1 seed coming out of Group A is going to go to Team Naventic. We will see more of Tempo Storm tomorrow as they take on Panda Global for that last round of 4 spot from Group A. But Gillyweed, we're moving soon to Group B, and that's going to be a pretty exciting group. You got Cloud9, Cognitive, Team Blaze, and of course Team Nom.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Team Blaze does have a sub playing for them this weekend, as Jason was really ill and wasn't able to play with them.
Yes.
So I'm wondering how that will influence the groups for them. But I know that they have DXN, and DXN's been playing with Yuge and Cladius
for their dorm team.
For their dorm team. So it's someone who is already used to their styles, who's able to fit in there. But I'm really excited to hear from our victors of this match. Anna, take it away.
Guys, I have Fan, officially, as we have discussed, the most decorated player in all of Heroes of the Storm. What a match, Fan. We were freaking out. Was that as good for you guys as it was for us? Because it was really good for us.
Yeah, that was definitely a really good match. I didn't think it would go to Game 3, and I didn't think the games would be so close, but, Tempo played absolutely amazingly all of the games, so it was a good match.
Well, and they drafted Cho'Gall for the first time in the tournament, and you guys banned Cho'Gall in that Game 3. How much of a factor was Cho'Gall here?
I think Cho'Gall was a pretty big factor in Game 2. We weren't really prepared too much to deal with it. But we still could have won. It was kind of the combination of the surprise factor of Cho'Gall with a lot of big mistakes that we made in the game that kind of caused us to throw the game. But, we could have won, but yeah, the Cho'Gall was definitely a pretty big factor as well.
I know the casters have burning questions. They're over there like bouncing in their seats. I see the Gilly face. Gilly, do you have questions here for Fan?
I do. Fan, your Li Ming play was so fun to watch and so amazing. But we saw you do a Magic Missile build a lot before, and then we saw the Calamity build, the big teleport build, come the second game. So can you maybe explain to us why you went for that different build here in Game 3?
Yeah, so I kind of base my builds just on the heroes and compositions. If I think I can hit them really easily, if I think there's no threat to me, I'll go full, Magic Missile, Glass Cannon build. If I think there's a dive threat, like a Zeratul or a Thrall that's gonna really go hard at me, I'll go Diamond Skin teleport build. And sometimes, my team wants to go hard, so I just go in with them, and those times I'll use the teleport build as well.
Okay, that's really cool. Now, Tempo Storm has been scrimming you guys a lot lately. I think Tempo Storm would say that you guys are their #1 scrim partners. What does that do to you going into a tournament this big when you scrim these guys all the time? You get each other, know each other's strats and what they've been running. How does that affect how you draft and play in a tournament?
I think that affects our draft very heavily. We were doing some very specific picks and bans, specifically prepared against Tempo Storm that we wouldn't do against any other team, just because of the heroes they like to run. They actually ran Cho'Gall against us in scrims too, but we didn't think it was serious, and that was kind of a big reason why we weren't too prepared for that game as well. So it was a big factor scrimming them as our #1 slot.
Well, now you guys do emerge victorious, and you do go right to the round of 4. So you are in the semifinals, and I think you guys expected to be there. I think that I've gotten that feel from you guys. So let me ask you this. How do you expect the round of 4 to go, and what do you think is your biggest obstacle in getting to that first place?
I think the round of 4 is going to be, I would give it to Cloud9 and Cog in the other group. I think Blaze had a really good chance with, Jason, but since they have a sub right now, I think I'm going to give it to C9 and Cog. I think our biggest obstacle really is just if we don't play well. I think if we play well, we will beat every team here. But, sometimes we forget things in our draft. Sometimes we choke a little bit, tilt a little bit. So if we just play well, we'll be fine. But, if we don't do well, the obstacle is just ourselves.
Well, that is a good position to be in. Congratulations, and thank you so much. And have a great time backstage now resting, because that's all you need to do for today. Guys, that's all of Group A for today. But don't worry, we have lots of Group B and lots more delicious Heroes of the Storm to serve up to you on our beautiful, glistening silver platter. You see it? It's right here. Anyway, we'll be back, and I'll bring you more right after this.